The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Well, last night sucked, but the good news is the great Joe Benigno, is going to join us to break down the Jets-Niners game and look ahead to week 2 of the season. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Once again, thank you to everyone who stayed up late last night for our post-game show. We got done just after 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're getting after it again right now. Before we bring on the great Joe B for the first of many weekly spots on this show, a reminder that if you missed last night's epic watch party at T-Squared Social, that's okay, because we're running it back in just 6 days. We will be at T-Squared once again this Sunday. Party starts at 12. Jets-Titans, big game for the Jets for obvious reasons. We will get after it this upcoming Sunday. RSVP with the link I have posted in the description for this video. All right, we've been pumped up about this for a while. The great Joe Benigno joining us right now to react to what was a disgusting loss by the Jets in the opener. Joe, I would ask you how you're doing, but I already know the answer.
Well, let me say this. Thank God for my baseball team, because I tell you, last night, first of all, you in your beginning, I love how you do that. All those smiling Jet fans. What is that? What is that before the season started? I mean, first of all, this was the same old Jets, bro. Come on, right from the get-go. Okay, first series of the game, Lazard drops. Even though he wound up with 2 touchdown catches in this game, he drops his sure first down. Sets the tone right away. They stop him on defense stunningly at that point, and then Breece Hall has a big fumble. It leads to that 9 field goal. And then the Jets have this unbelievable drive that we have not seen. I don't know, man. Since who? Vinny? I don't know. Fitzpatrick? Who knows? Maybe when Rex was here with Mark Sanchez. I don't know. Right down the field. Rodgers looks phenomenal, 70 yards, hits Garrett Wilson for 3 straight first downs on 3rd and longs, and you're like pinching yourself. I can't believe it. Eventually, Hall takes it in for the touchdown. The Jets are up 7-3, and then the same old Jets made their appearance. Let's be honest about this, Jake. This defense is overrated, okay? They got torched last night. They got their rear end handed to them. McCaffrey didn't even play. They made this guy Mason look like he was Jimmy Brown. The holes were unbelievable. They just ran it down their throat. This defense, they never forced turnovers. They didn't get to the quarterback. Brock Purdy had days to throw. The one time that they did have him, I think it was Solomon Thomas. He didn't pull him down, and Purdy winds up completing the pass. These guys were open all over the place. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Jennings, they were open everywhere. I mean, what can you say? How about this sequence? This is the killer. We talked about this off the air. It was still 26-13, right? Rodgers with that nice pass when, he had the free play. They're offside, the Niners, and he hits Lazard for that touchdown. They don't get the 2-point conversion, but they're down 26-13. They got the ball. Breece gets about 9 yards on first down. 2nd and a yard, okay, and it's just another dumb mistake. Rodgers hits on a slant pattern, and he hits Garrett Wilson over the middle. Sure, first down. Then all of a sudden they review it, and you see that Wilson didn't get his 2nd foot down, inside the line. He's got his toe on the line. I mean, how do you do that? He had all kinds of room to make that catch, and you don't get your 2nd foot down? So they don't get the first down. Now it's 3rd and 1. Breece runs. They stop him. And then on 4th down, of course, incomplete pass. And that pretty much, the game was probably over already, but you knew at that point they were freaking done. just a terrible performance by the Jets last night. And the defense, man, let's wake up and smell the coffee, Jet fans. This defense has a long way to go to get to where they're a legitimate You want to see a defense? Take a look at the Niners last night. Fred Warner beating them up. They forced 2 turnovers. Fred Warner was all over Breece Hall, by the way. I think he was like spying them all night. They forced 2 turnovers. They couldn't run the ball. Breece really couldn't run the ball at all. Just a putrid performance by the Jets last night. No other way to say it.
And I really thought, Joe, the biggest moments in the game was start of the third quarter. You're thinking, okay, look, offense looked pretty good when they've had the ball. Right. 16-7 at halftime, 1 stop to start the third, get the ball back to Rodgers in this offense, and you're going to be right there in the game. And they allowed the Niners to have an 11-play drive to start the half. Saleh, after the game, said we tried to make adjustments. They adjusted better than we could. Like, that to me was alarming because it's very rare we've seen this defense play like that. You can call them overrated. It's very rare they tackle that poor. They're that bad against the run. Like, that was a big surprise to me.
The holes were monstrous. And he got nothing. I mean, come on. Then talk about this defensive line. Really? What is this? The Purple People Eaters with the Vikings? Doomsday? What is it? The Steel Curtain? It's not even the Sack Exchange? Come on. Give me a break. The only time I saw Jermaine Johnson all night was when he hit the guy in the head when the Jets were off the field on a 3rd down, and Jermaine Johnson gets an illegal, hands to the face penalty to keep the drive going. He did nothing. Will McDonald was invisible in this game. I didn't even know he was out there. I saw 99. How they gave this guy gas to those numbers beyond my mind, beyond comprehension. He was invisible. I mean, come on. The only guy that really I thought played decent on defense was Quincy Williams. That was it. He was around. He made some plays. Outside of him, it was horrible. It was horrible, Jake. I mean, I understand the Niners are a top-flight team. You probably didn't expect the Jets to win this game anyway. But I expected a lot better than what I got last night. Let's be honest.
It's bizarre too because so much was made about Aaron Rodgers and the offense and that being, the rust and the weak link. And I think there was some rust at times. But honestly, Joe, you'll call me too optimistic, but I'll take this feeling after losing a tough game, non-conference opponent in their house, and Rodgers being healthy and showing signs that he could still play at a high level than winning week 1 last year, and our season was essentially over. So I'm kind of torn because I didn't expect the Jets to necessarily win. I just expected a better effort overall. They better, though, as we all know, take care of business these next couple games against inferior teams.
Well, I mean, look, I think the one positive you take out of it is Rodgers did look good. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, now, he doesn't have the mobility he once had. You could see that. But he certainly looked good. He threw the ball well. Like I said, right off the get-go, Lazard drops a pass right in his hands. I mean, that kind of set the tone. Who knows? That might have been a nice long drive. I mean, you got to catch. That's an easy first down, pitch and catch there. And you can see Rodgers was frustrated. But like I said, they really couldn't run the ball. Breece Hall did not really have a good game. I know he scored the touchdown. He had a couple moments, but he had the fumble. He
apologized to Rodgers after the game, by the way. He said he didn't play up to his standard, and Rodgers told him, relax, it's a long season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't. So that's a good job by Breece doing that. But I think the one positive you take out is that Rodgers did look good. I think you feel good about that. Outside of that, there really wasn't much. But Rodgers looked good.
Pass protection, I thought, was pretty good, too. What do you think of the O-line?
Yeah, not bad. I'll give you that. The run blocking, maybe not. But I thought the pass protection was decent. But the quarterback looked good. I think that's the one big positive you take out of this game.
Yeah, it was such a weird game because I felt like every time the Jets had the ball, like it was a weird feeling of actually having confidence that they could do something. They never had the ball. It was terrible. Yeah. I mean, the defense could not get off the field the entire game.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that was the story. The bottom line of the game is that the defense was absolutely horrible and got their rear end handed to them. I mean, without Christian McCaffrey playing. So, I mean, this defense has got to get better, man. I tell you. And I don't know what's happening with this Hassan Reddick. He probably had a big smile on his face wherever he was watching this game, if he was even watching it last night, about the contract he may eventually get. I'm very down on him. You know what? If they do wind up giving him a contract, you got to be concerned that he's going to get hurt soon, But there was no pass rush at all, bro. Purdy had days to throw the ball. He really did.
Days. And it just – it was just rare to see the Jet defense play that bad. It kind of reminded me of the Dallas game in week 2, and that proved to be a bit of an outlier, and they responded. But
very similar type game. They got their rear end handed to them in that game too.
Yep,
100%.
We're talking with Joe Benigno. He's going to be joining us every week after Jet games on this channel. So if you're a Jet fan and you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you do so. Joe's podcast, the Oh the Pain podcast, is a must listen for obvious reasons. And Joe,
let me also pop this, bro. I'll be on with Evan and Tiki at 4:00 today. I'll be on after every Jet game, this day after every Jet game with them on the fan. So,
and what are you doing on September 20th, Joe?
September 20th is our live podcast from the Hackensack Brewing Company. How about that? That's our next one. That'll be the Friday after the home opener on Thursday night against New England. By the way, how about New England beating Cincinnati, bro? I mean, let me tell you one thing about the Patriots, and this has been even when they weren't good the last few years. They have a very opportunistic defense. You talk about forcing turnovers, which our defense doesn't do. They do. There was a big play in that game where I forget who it was, but the Bengals was on his way in for a touchdown, and I think it was Kyle Duggar knocked the ball out of his hands, and New England recovered for a big play in that game. So, we'll see what happens. It's only one game. Cincinnati looked terrible, but everybody in the Division I but us, Jake, we're right where we always are, bringing up the rear in the AFC East. Yeah, right where we always are.
And I understand that's going to be the reaction by many. I just want to take a deep breath because I want to remind myself and every Jet fan that when the schedule first came out, I think most of us looked at this game like it was a likely loss, non-conference game, defending NFC champs in their building. I think the real thing is the Salah have this team now ready to go for Will Levis and the Titans on a short week. That home opener you and I are both going to be at against Brissett and the Patriots. Like, this is the opportunity for the Jets to rattle off some wins and at least, in my opinion, Joe, be 4-1 going into that Bills game on Monday night.
Yeah, they need to be at least – well, I'll say this. I mean, they need to be 3-1 going to London to play Minnesota. I mean, let's be honest about it. They need to win these next 3 games down in Nashville, the Patriot game, and then obviously the game against Denver. They need to be 3-1. There's no question about that. So, we'll see what happens. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to this rumor, but I heard after the game, Kyle Shanahan went up to Salah and said, Robert, don't worry. If you get fired after this year, you'll be on my staff again next year. I don't know if there's any truth to
that. Joe, I'm gonna introduce you to something on the show we call a super chat. It's when people are nice enough to donate some financial cash, all right, some cash considerations, if you will, to get a comment or question read. It's very rare we get something like this. Curvin just gave us a $400 super chat. All right, that is big time cash money right there. All to say, Salah was outclassed. So, Curvin, 1, I wonder if that was a typo, but 2, thank you. And then 3, Joe, I'll ask you about Robert Salah. Last night was not a good look for this head coach. His defense was absolutely gashed. What is your level of confidence in the Jets being able to right the ship now going forward?
I mean, look, I came into this year. Everybody was all giddy about the team, and you're a loaded team. And I it gets me too, Jake. It's not even. Yeah, I understand the optimism of Jet fans, even though I try to temper it. It's when you hear these people that are not Jet fans telling you, "Oh man, your team looks great." You know what I mean? And I don't want to hear that gratuitous bullshit. You know what I mean? I can say that on this.
You can, yep.
Okay.
New world here. No FCC regulations.
Right, good. So I don't want to, I don't want to hear that nonsense. I mean, give me a break. I don't know. I don't know what to think, bro. I don't know. They better win these next 3 games. They better win Sunday. I mean, to me, it's a must-win already because if they lose to the Titans, the panic button is going to start to set in. I mean, let's be real about it. You know it is. This was one thing to lose to the Niners on the road. It'd be another thing to lose to the Titans next week. You know what I'm saying?
Here was Robert Salah. He spoke this morning, so I mean, I wonder if he slept at all on this flight back. He's at the Jet facility. This was Salah this morning being asked about fixing the defense.
I know we're going to get the defense fixed. That is not a problem. If that's a problem, it's not a problem. And I know we're going to get a lot better from week 1 to week 2. We got a great opportunity this week against Tennessee on a short week. They were very unfortunate not to come away with the game, their game against Chicago, but and they've got a lot of really good pieces. They got one of the best O-line coaches in the history of football who's given us fits over the last few years. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. But like I said, guys, it's a 17-game season, got 16 of these left, and getting the defense fixed is not going to be a problem.
Joe, your thoughts on this defense being fixed? Because here's the thing. We just assume the defense is going to be as good as they've been last year. But the difference is Huff's not here. Franklin Myers is not here. I think that showed last night in the run game. And really, if you go back to when they lost Al Woods last year, it's not like they were a great team against the run last year. They were okay. But like that to me is like what people aren't realizing here. Like, I don't think we just snap our fingers and everything is back to what it was. Like, they got to work for it, man. And they got to figure out this Reddick thing because it's a bad look all around to allow us to continue to linger.
I'm worried about the defense. I'm worried about it. I mean, I've said, look, I've been saying this all along, that this defense is not as good as it's cracked up to be. You know, you want a defense that's going to wreck games, get to the quarterback, force turnovers. Well, they wrecked the game last night, but they wrecked it for themselves. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this team has got to get better defensively, and I'm worried about it, bro. This defensive line stunk last night. There was no, forget even the run game, which was a disaster, but where the hell was the pass rush? There was nothing. They never blitzed. There's nothing to. I think maybe they blitzed once last night when they went after him with 5 guys and the Niners picked it up and burned them on it. They never blitz. Never. Can we see a corner blitz? Can we see Sauce go after the quarterback occasionally? Can we see a safety blitz? Maybe Chuck Clark go after him? I mean, can we do that? Quincy Williams going after the quarterback? They never blitz, bro. Never. He keeps going with a 4-man rush, and they never get there. I mean, come on. I mean, come on. Your defense, Robert, is not as good as you think it is. Let's be honest about it.
If you're watching live, hit the like button. If you have a question for Joe B, write it in. We'll bring it up on the screen. Joe's kind enough to be joining us here the day after.
Only for you, Jake.
Today's
another wonderful.
Yesterday's debacle.
Like I said, thank God the baseball team won. Somehow they won last night with 3 hits. They found a way to win. It's just unbelievable. I have to say, thank God for them right now.
You know, it's funny. You were just saying, hey, just get me to football season. Now you don't want the baseball season to end because the Mets are giving you a real season.
No, you're right. That's it. That's 100% right. I mean, I found myself on Sunday, opening weekend of football Sunday, I was more locked into my baseball team than, well, certainly the disaster that the Giants were. That's for sure.
It can always be worse, Joe.
You know what I mean? The only thing worse than the Giants' performance on Sunday was the uniforms they were wearing.
But you know what? But it's like a great perspective, right? Because as poor as yesterday was, like I feel a million times better this morning than I did the morning after last year. Like if you keep Aaron Rodgers upright, that arm was awesome last night. That hard count to Lazard to throw.
Again, Rodgers was the one big positive that you take out of it.
Yep,
that he looked good, and you got to believe that this offense, they stopped the turnovers and the mistakes that they made last night. And they're going to be able to score points. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. I really do. But, I am concerned about the defense right now. I'm really not that concerned about the offense, but I am concerned about the defense. No question about it.
Third Man 3 says, small thing, but why decline the penalty on first down that would have backed the Niners back at a field goal range? They got 3. Worries me about Salah. There was also a play in this game, Joe, where it looked like Breece Hall had a first down, and they didn't challenge it, and they ended up not being able to convert on the 3rd and 1 and the 4th and 1. That, to me, should have been a challenge, and I think the Jets would have won that challenge as well.
Yeah, well, that's that sequence that I talked about, where on the very next play, the 2nd and 1 play was that pass to Wilson that he somehow didn't get both feet down in bounds. That was the play right after that. You're right. Why didn't they challenge it? And, Buck and Aikman were talking about it on TV as well. It looked like it might have been a first down already. You're not wrong about that.
Bang Mateo, who's probably the biggest Robert Saleh hater we have in the chat on a daily occurrence. Saleh does nothing, no play sheet in hand statue. Bang then says, Joe, what the hell does Saleh do on the sidelines?
Well, I mean, it wasn't much last night. I mean, look, here's the bottom line on Saleh. He's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. But right now, he's 18-34 as head coach of his team. And he is clearly, Jake and Bang Mateo, he is clearly on a hot seat. I mean, there's no question about it. Like I said, if they don't win next week, you're going to start to hear the rumblings if somehow they don't beat the Tennessee Titans next week. You know that.
100%. Ryan writes in, I'm going to be positive instead of bitching about getting bullied last night. Lazard had more touchdown receptions this season than all last season. I will say this, small victory, but at least Alan Lazard, with Rodgers throwing to him, and even Tyrod looked pretty good on that one drive, which was nice to see. At least he showed you that, he could maybe be a competent number 3, number 4 wide receiver. I don't think he'll ever be what the contract was, but, he was a non-factor last year. He stunk. At least he gave you something last night.
Well, he did give you that drop right away, which again, that was a big play in the game right away. I mean, who knows? That was an easy first down there. He was okay after that. Again, I'm really not. There was mistakes by the offense last night, but I'm not really that worried about it because the quarterback did look good. So, from that aspect, my concern here right now is on the defensive side of the ball, and I think you should be if you're a Jet fan.
And I'll say this: I think Rodgers will only get better with more reps.
Yeah.
Like I think he was still kind of shaking off some rust at times in this game.
I mean, and he threw the ball well. I mean, he really did. He made a nice throw. That one first down, he threw to Garrett Wilson, that back shoulder throw for that first down on about a 3rd and 8 on that touchdown drive. The touchdown pass to Lazard was a beauty. He put it right there, on a free play. So, like I said, Rodgers, look, I'm not worried about Rodgers. As long as he stays, the bottom line with Rodgers, if he stays healthy, we should be a good team. But they need to shore up this defense. This defense, again, is not what it's cracked up to be, and they cannot play like they played last night. I mean, let's be honest about it. Cannot.
Question here from Tyler, who writes in, Joe, should the Jets call Reddick and cave in?
I hate caving in because I'm just worried this guy's going to get hurt. How many times have we seen it when these guys don't play? They're not there for the entire training camp. They come back, somewhere. Usually they sign. Usually it's like what we saw with Trent Williams here with the Niners. They usually sign like 3 days before the season starts. Generally is what happens. But that hasn't even happened yet. I don't know if this guy's ever going to sign. I think he's up to $2 million in fines now. And I think the fine for regular season games is like $800,000 a pop. Now, I don't know. At this point, I would not sign him for more than 1 year. That's it. I would not give him any more than a 1-year deal at this point, Jake. I really wouldn't.
Mr. McMoney writes in, Brady started off slow with the Bucs. So I looked it up because people don't, if people want to overreact, I get it. It's week 1. We were all excited. The Bucs got destroyed 34-23 against the Saints. Brady threw 2 interceptions in that game and they won the Super Bowl. So, at the end of the day, it is week 1. And I think, as you said, Joe, Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good, and I would expect him to continue to get better when he's not also playing a defense as good as the Niners going forward.
Yeah, well, again, it is. I don't want to jump off the cliff yet. It is a great team in San Francisco. It is week 1, and with the way the NFL set up now, I mean, nobody played in the preseason. It's almost like this was a preseason game. Mm-hmm. When you look at it, they're still trying to find yourself week 1, and week 1 is, I think, of every week in the season, the one that you put the least amount of stock in is the opener. But again, we'll live with this for now. But they have to beat Tennessee. I'm telling you right now, if they lose to Tennessee next week, believe me, the panic is going to start to set in. There's no doubt about it.
We're talking with Joe Benigno once again. For those tuning in late, I'm going to be on with Joe at the Hackensack Brewing Company Friday, September 20th.
Nice picture there.
It's going to be a blast. I mean, your daughter Erin's the one who put this together, Joe?
Yeah, she puts everything together. I just do it. She runs everything. I do. To me, I just do the shows, which is the easy part. Don't ask me to do anything else. My wife gets me up and running here, and we're off and going.
I love it.
I love all these happy Jet fans, so especially the guy with the Yankee hat on. I mean, what is that? Why did you see a guy with a Yankee hat on with the Jet stuff? Come on, put your Jet.
Are you referring to the highlight video I played before the show?
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
there's one girl there with a huge smile on her face. I mean, I don't know what she was watching.
Let's review the tape right now. For those who obviously were not there last night, here's what you missed out on at T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan. That was after the Brees touchdown where I'm like, holy crap, that's the greatest Jets offensive drive I've seen in 15 years.
Well, but did you fast forward to what it looked like at the watch party about an hour and a half later? Can we see what it looked like at that point?
Let's just say it wasn't quite as full as it was.
Did you film it at that point? I want to know.
The tapes exist somewhere, but it's a lot like the Kennedy footage. We're not releasing that for the public.
Yeah, and the Zapruder film, I get it.
Hit the like button if you're tuned in right now. We're talking with Joe B. We'll do a couple more super chats here. We'll maybe mix in a call or two. Tim writes in. He says, cannot win by not stopping the run and establishing the run game. I mean, we know how bad they were, stopping the run. I was surprised they really got nothing going on the ground with Brees, though. That did surprise me.
More. I mean, they put the kid Allen in at the end of the game in that last drive, that garbage drive with Taylor. Why aren't we seeing this kid more? I mean, let me see this kid. Let me get, give Brees a break and let's see Allen run a few series. I thought we should have seen more of him last night, honestly.
You know what bothered me too, by the way? So they take Rodgers out late and go to Tyrod. Why is Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall still in at that point? Especially Brees. Just give Braylon Allen all the touches.
I think, though, the Allen did play. I think they did take Brees out at that point.
He did, but Brees was still going out there taking carries in a game that was over at that point.
Yeah, there was no need for him to be in the game at that point. I agree.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, can they use Mike Williams more next week? I mean, he's not on the injury report. They say they're easing him in. Why? Let him go out there and throw him a deep ball and at least open things up. I want to see more creativity in that regard.
Well, let's say he hardly was on the field last night. I don't think he came into the game till like his second half at some point. So, hopefully we'll see him play next week and get something out of him. We'll see.
Jack writes in, the guy with the Yankee hat was my friend Sean. Well, there you go, Joe.
No, tell Sean great. Tell him thanks a lot. Do you see me with my Met gear on here right now? I mean, come on.
Andrew says, it felt like the rust was all on the starters. None of them played preseason, and it showed. The defense especially, I mean, maybe it had something to do with not playing in the preseason, but last year, I mean, they were great week 1, and then they got just destroyed by Dallas week 2, and then they bounced back and were good for most of the season. So I'm hoping that happens again next week.
Well, we'll see. Like I said, they got to create more turnovers. They don't turn the ball over. They don't force enough turnovers, and they don't get to the quarterback enough. And to me, that's the bottom line. And obviously, if you don't do that and you're not stopping the run on top of it, you're going to have trouble. So they can only go one way here, Jake, and that's up. Let's be honest.
Trice writes in, another deflating Jets loss. It's time that this team proves something for once and backs up this fan base that loyalty lifts them up year after year. Well, I mean, I've said this for years, Joe, and you know it better than anyone. The Jet organization doesn't deserve how great the Jet fan base is.
Hey, look, I've been following it. I've been a Jet fan since 1965. One of the dumbest decisions I ever made. When Joe Namath, of course, signed with the team. What can I say? I tell everybody this all the time. They haven't been to a Super Bowl in 56 years. Remember when the Rangers, in 1940, and it was like the holy grail after 54 years when the Rangers finally won the Cup in 1994. It's only been 30 years again now. But the Jets are 2 years past that already, right? The holy grail. Oh, my God. Yeah, I was 15 when they won the Super Bowl. I'm going to be 71 in about 2 weeks, and they still haven't been back. I mean, that's really all you need to say, really.
We're talking with Joe B. Last chance to get in a comment or a question for us to read. Joe's going to be joining us throughout the season. Once again, he has the Oh the Pain podcast. Joe, I know you put out an NFL Sunday episode yesterday that I was listening to, so people should check that out. You said you're dropping another Jet-related one later today, and you'll be on the Fan with Evan and Tika.
Yeah, it'll be out tonight or later on this afternoon. I did do one breaking down last night's game, so you want to hear that.
Bang Mateo, he's back. He says,
Bang
why was Tyron?
I love that name, Bang Mateo.
You won't love him that much longer, Joe. I'm telling you, just give it some time. Yeah, you're still new to the show. Don't worry.
Okay, Bang.
He wants to know why.
$2. That's it.
$2. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. Why would they? You're right. There was no reason to have guys like that in the game at that point. You're right.
Hennessy Heisman says, does Corley have to figure out the whole playbook? I mean, he wasn't a factor last night. They only had.
Was he even on the field last night?
Yeah, I don't even remember a play.
Limited amount of plays that I saw him. Not much. What's he's got Wilson's old number, right? 17 now.
17. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he didn't play much. He's only a rookie. I'm not going to. They'll ease him in. You'll see him.
You only had basically Wilson, Lazard, and Brees catching any completions from Rodgers in this game last night.
One pass from Tyrod Taylor in that last drive. That was it.
Tony writes in, biggest difference I noticed was the intensity the Niners defense played with versus ours. Fred Warner was a menace the whole game. Warner might have been the best player on the field last night.
Well, it looked to me like Warner was spying Brees because he hit him. He was tackling him every time. Fred Warner was terrific. Yeah, you're right. He was all over the field. There's no doubt about it.
Trice G with a super chat here. Joe, you talk about dumb decisions. I'm from Massachusetts, about 20 minutes from Foxborough. When I was a kid, Curtis Martin and Parcells left the Pats. I followed them to the Jets. Since then, the Pats won 6 and us 0.
Well, you talk about stupid decisions. I mean, you were a Patriot fan and you decided to become a Jet fan? Come on. The only dumber decision I think that ever was made was David Lee Roth leaving Van Halen. I mean, what were you thinking about? Come on.
Joe, you're the best. You're the best. Now, I do got to play this for you here, right? I'm going to try and restore some positive vibes, right? I mean, I was with you and Kenny last year after that Jet Giant game.
You're going to play the salsa dance?
Yes, I mean, we need to get some good vibes going, Joe.
Is that what you're doing?
The season is not lost. We're going to be A-okay. We're going to be salsering a lot this year.
Here it is. Little Victor Cruz dance. Oh, Victor. Woo. We're doing a little salsa, baby. Yeah. Woo. Now, can I point out something? Now, after we won that game, which was a miracle, that we won that game. I mean, that's an all. As we're coming down the escalator, and we realize that Gano missed that field goal. But after they won that game, they were 4-3, and they went into the tank immediately after that game. They had that Monday night loss to San Diego. Then they had that brutal loss in Vegas to the Raiders, and that was it. It was basically the season was over. They had the wonderful game on Black Friday.
Tim Boyle
hitting the open guy.
He's now on the Dolphins practice squad, by the way, Joe.
What a disgrace, bro.
That's why, as bad as yesterday was defensively, I still have faith in them figuring it out. And Rodgers looked good. It's why I'm not going to sit here and panic after one game.
Again, that's the one positive you take out of the game. I think that's it.
All right, a few more super chats left for Joe. Bang Mateo again. He says, Joe, when Saleh gets fired, by the way, Bang Mateo's been trying to fire Saleh since like the first day he was hired, but I digress. I do not want another. Yeah. I want a young, bright offensive mind. This is not the 1980s, for God's sakes. Yeah, the offensive mind.
I mean, where's this young, bright offensive mind we're going to find? I mean, finding these guys, it's such a crapshoot with these first-time head coaches. You never know what you get. I mean, do you? You never know what you get. Who knows? So I don't know what to say about that. Can we finally hit on a guy? I don't know. I don't know who. To me, the next. You like Mike Vrabel because he might be the next head coach. I mean, he's out there. I wouldn't call him a bright young offensive mind by any means. He was a deep, linebacker with the Patriots. But I don't know. I don't know. We haven't had. Let's be honest. We have not had a real head coach here since Rex. We haven't.
No, and. You know what it is, though? Like, you look at Vrabel, right? I think he's a really good coach.
By the way, what Bowles is doing. Can you believe what Bowles is doing in Tampa?
I'm shocked because I thought Bowles was abysmal. And I understand his quarterbacks weren't great either, but good God.
Right. Well, you got Baker Mayfield playing pretty well, man. I tell you, that's the guy I wanted. I mean, I know we got Rodgers, but, Mayfield's played well. He took them to the playoffs last year. They won a playoff game. They beat Philadelphia last year in the playoffs. Anyway, I don't want to cry about that. We'll leave it.
By the way, how Browns is it that they get rid of Mayfield? They replace him with Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson is not just bad; he's horrendous. That contract's insane, and Baker Mayfield's playing like a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Deshaun Watson's contract may be the worst in the history of pro football. What the Browns were thinking about, it's really amazing. Watson, I loved Watson at Clemson. I really did. I thought he was great. I wanted the Jets to draft him. He played well against Alabama. He goes to Houston, and really his rookie year. His first 6 or 7 games, he was tremendous. And then he got hurt. And he's never been the same since that injury. And then, of course, you had the issue with the women, whatever. Who knows what was going on there. And what the Browns with this is one of the reasons why the Browns, and let's be honest, the Browns were a playoff team last year because Joe Flacco was their quarterback. And he was unconscious for about, 6 or 7 weeks. And the Browns are another team with a massively overrated defense, may I add. I know they got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. I get it. But their defense is very overrated. Dak Prescott torched them on Sunday. Let's be honest about it.
2 weeks from now, we get Daniel Jones versus Deshaun Watson. What a matchup.
Oh, is that right? The Giants play the Browns?
They do, yes.
So where is that game?
I got to check. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Daniel Jones, what a disaster he was. I mean, the Giants, I don't know what to say about them. That was as bad a performance as you could have. They made Sam Darnold look like Johnny Unitas. They really did.
They did. A couple more here for Joe, then we're going to say goodbye. Snowball writes in. He says, would playing in the preseason really have made a difference? Is it vanilla football? How would it have helped last night? Me personally, Joe, maybe it would have helped the defense tackle a little better. I thought they were rusted. They missed like 8 or 9 tackles, I think the advanced stats showed.
Well, we'll see. Like I said, you can look at these opening weekend games. It's almost like an extended preseason game because nobody played, And that's why you can't put a lot of stock. I don't want to go too crazy about what we saw last night. But, again, They put themselves in a position where they basically, you hate to say must win in week 2, but again,
Feels that way.
They need to win next week. They need to be, like I said, they need to be 3-1 going to London to play Minnesota. Let's be honest about it.
Yep. Michael writes in, Joe, what happened to John Abraham versus the Raiders in 2002? I thought we were on our way with Chad Pennington.
Yeah, okay, well, John Abraham was a tremendous player, but the problem with John Abraham was he played 8 games and get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He'd never play in the playoff games. Chad Pennington was the same thing. When Pennington was healthy, we won. When Chad Pennington played a full year for the Jets, we went to the playoffs. Even in Miami, he took the Dolphins to a division title in that disastrous Brett Favre year in 2008. But the problem with Pennington was, injuries as well. So what are you going to do?
Felix with a super chat. Tough loss last night. We need to play much better against Tennessee. If they go and beat the Titans and they're 1-1, I mean,
look, I think that's probably what we expected anyway. I mean, I thought they'd play better. I actually took them with the 4.5 last night.
Me too.
I thought they'd play a decent game, but I wasn't 100% expecting them to win the game. I just didn't think that the defense would be as bad as it was. And I think that's the negative is that, the positive is Rodgers looked good. And I think that's, but you better win next week. You better win. Like I said, 3-1 going to London. That's what they have to be.
2 more super chats for Joe. Big fella, he says, Joe, sometimes getting punched in the mouth is a good thing, waking us up from the hype and showing us what we need to be. Hopefully Salah realizes that you can make adjustments during the game and not just halftime.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope so. Let's hope that it's a wake-up call, what we saw last night. Let's hope he's right.
Storyline says, maybe I haven't watched a lot of Aaron Rodgers, but what's up with his weird throw style? Also, what did you think about Garrett Wilson's flashy style? Didn't get his foot down on that catch.
Well, you got to do it. I mean, that's the kind of mistake you can't make. I mean, that's what we said. I mean, it's a hard. There were too many mistakes by the offense. There really was. But I'm not that concerned about the offense. I'm really not, because Rodgers looked good. You can talk about his throwing style. I mean, he looked good. He was throwing the ball well.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like Aaron Rodgers. Weird throwing style.
Right.
Come on.
The only thing I think about that I saw, he did look. You could see the mobility is not what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You could see he doesn't. He got that one hit. I forget who hit him. He got hit pretty good one time. I got a little nervous, but he got up. But the mobility is not what it used to be for Rodgers. I'll say that. But he could still certainly throw the football.
And you know what? The pass protection against a really good front was pretty good. So, I'm encouraged by what we saw. Hopefully, Tyron Smith obviously can keep playing.
Well, hopefully these guys stay healthy. I mean, the health is the most important thing.
Row with some positivity here, so I'll read this on the way out to you, Joe. He goes, I also followed.
Did you relate it to Carlos?
I also followed Parcells/Martin to the Jets. I wouldn't have it any other way. I was at the game last night. Jets fans showed up. Long season, keep the faith. There actually were, Joe, a decent amount of Jet fans that I know that made this trip out to the Bay Area.
No, I know Ira went out. You're insane to go out there. Let's just put it this way: 5.5-hour flight. God knows how much nonsense there was getting. How much time you had to wait to leave and get off the plane and all this for that, right? I mean, really for that, It's one thing to go to Tennessee. It's not a bad plane ride. I guess you're going to London, right?
I'll be in London, Joe. I'm going to be enjoying some tea, some crumpets, the whole thing.
We need a game in London, right? Just like we needed a game in Brazil. Like I said, what's next for Roger Goodell? Beijing? Is that coming anytime soon?
No, the season opener's in Gaza next year. I don't know if you heard.
Oh, my God. Oh, the pain. I don't think there's any football. Somehow, I don't think that there's any football stadiums in Palestine. I don't know. I could be wrong.
They're not the biggest fan of my people, Joe. I don't know if you're aware.
I'm a big fan, so you know where I'm at as far as that goes. But yeah, I guess they got a soccer stadium somewhere in Palestine. Maybe they do.
Are you watching the Mets tonight, or are you watching the debate? Are we going both these screens?
Both. You think there's no way I'm missing the debate? I'm pumped up for Big Don tonight to stick it to Kamala. But let me just say this: I will, of course. The Mets start at 7. The debate's not till 9. So I will be watching the Met game for the first 2 hours. The unconscious David Peterson on the mound, it's unbelievable how good he's been. So.
Joe, to quote you, all the love. Thank you for joining us. I can't wait to do this throughout the year. And I'm pumped up, everyone. You got to come out. All the Asmaniacs are going to be in the house at the Hackensack Brewing Company Friday, September 20th. That's right.
Jake. Who's better than you, Jake?
You, Joe.
It's really a short list. You know what I mean?
I want you to know I got some Jake Asman Show merch coming for you and Terry. It's on its way to the house.
I want you to know I got the mug already.
You did? Okay.
It's unbelievable. Look at this. You even got like a golf shirt, Jake?
You want a polo, Joe? I think I forget what I sent you, but it might have been a polo included because I know you're a big golf guy.
Nice. That's a nice one. White with the green. I got, because I'm very I don't look at it right now because I got my jet gear on. I'm downstairs in I guess you could call it the man cave, but you know me, man cave, you got to include my wife in it. If there's no woman in my cave, then it ain't man cave. But, and we got better lighting here. That's why you're seeing the background is mostly basketball and baseball instead of the football area. So, but that's all right. What are you going to do? You can see Patrick Ewing back there. He never won either.
Joe, Joe, you're the best. I will talk to you, I'm sure, later this week. But I really appreciate you doing this, and I'm excited, man. I know it's a tough one, but I'm still encouraged. I still believe in this team going forward.
Jake, I love you, Jake. By the way, just again, everybody out there, don't buy the Aaron Rodgers jersey yet. Okay, can you relax? Okay. Could he do something before we buy the jersey? Just pointing it out.
He played a full game. We're making progress.
It is stunning. It is shocking.
Joe, you're the best. I'll talk to you soon.
All the love, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Joe B, his lovely wife Terry there helping him as well. It's going to be a lot of fun with Joe on the show. Hopefully a lot more wins than losses. And, of course, make sure you guys check out Joe's podcast, the Old the Pain podcast, wherever you get your pods. And listen on Spotify or Apple. And you can check me out with Joe, 7:30, Friday, September 20th, after the Jets. Hopefully put up a 50-burger on the Patriots the night before. So that will be a lot of fun in Jersey for everyone who could come out and make the trip. Let's open it up to your comments and questions. Got some more super chats to get into here. Appreciate everyone tuning in live right now. There's over 1,000 of you watching this show live. So please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Join my Patreon for access to my private Discord if you're going to any Jet away game. We have a channel created in the Discord for you to connect with your fellow Jet fans to plan meetups, plan tailgates. I'm going to be in London. I got info this week. I'm posting about all the London plans for a tailgate, a party the night before, a pub crawl on Friday of that weekend. So make sure you get in the Discord. It's patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. All our calls are presented by Gusbuster Umbrella. Make sure you guys use promo code Jake at checkout to get a discount of 15% and get yourself the #1 umbrella in the known universe. All right, we're going to open it up. Comments and questions. Certainly get to some of your super chats as well that are left over here, like this one from Les, who says, last A-Rod MVP season, week 1, 133 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns, relax. I agree. They play like this against the Titans, my tone's going to be different. I am willing to understand it is week 1, and I am willing to give this team a break. When the schedule came out, most of us didn't expect this to be a win. Now, I thought the Jets would play a lot better. I'd be the first to say that. I'd be the first to tell you I was very disappointed with the defense. But, this happened week 2 against Dallas, too, and then they bounced back against the Patriots the next week. Defense was excellent that day. I still have some faith in this team. I'm not throwing it all away because they lost to the defending NFC champs in their building. Nate with a super chat. 98, we lost the first game in San Fran. Well, in 98, they actually started 0-2 and then won 12-2 the rest of the way. So, you tell me that's going to happen, I'll sign for that. But I want to win next week. I don't want to deal with 0-2. 2002, we started 1-4. 2009, Rex declared us eliminated after losing to Atlanta in week 15. 2010, we lost 45-3 going into the playoffs. Bury the game ball, move on, RELAX. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think this game was that bad where you bury the game ball. Like, it's the first game. A couple plays here or there, they're right there. What disappointed me the most, and I said this to Joe when he was just on, the opening drive of the third quarter for the Niners. That was where the game was lost. If the Jets got off the field and got the ball to Rodgers down 16-7, they were going to score. All right, the momentum was on the Jets side. Like, they were going to do something. Just never got the ball back. Very frustrating. First State Jet says, I do think we have the leadership on defense to commit to fixing it, holding accountable, and it's not to our standard. Can and will be better. I hope so. I do think defensively you expect a much better performance going forward, not just because they're playing the Titans, but because this team's got a lot of leaders and pride on it. That's how I look at it. Jeffrey says, one game does not season make. Yeah, I don't think they're saying the season's over in Cincinnati or in Baltimore. Cincinnati lost to the Patriots. Baltimore lost to the Chiefs. Jets lost to the NFC version of the Chiefs, the Niners. Perspective. I'm not telling you got to love everything you saw last night. You shouldn't. But I also think we could be a little more rational than just, it sucks, fire this person. Like, let's take a breath. More calls right now. We heard from this guy's brother last night. We got to bring on our king right now. King Lowski starts us off today. What's up, King Lowski?
Jake, my brother, Jake, my brother. It's always good to see you, my brother. Yes, let's go into it. Hey, man, I just want to say a couple things, man. My bad for not joining the post show last night. I was losing my voice in the bar. I got a little bit of it back, of course. You know the king was yelling. But let me say this about the defense, man. Shout out to the legend Joe B, first and foremost. Let me talk about this defense, man. No type of effort, man. That was not my defense last night. Okay? I don't know whose defense that was, but it wasn't mine. Okay? They got this cat Mason running down the middle, and it was getting on my nerves, man. Okay? No type of adjustments. Okay? Y'all know Garrett was cooking. In the first drive, he had 4 receptions. He was cooking. Why did y'all go against the grain and go away from Garrett? The run game was not working. I don't know what this crackback toss play is, but stop running it, okay? Because it wasn't working. All right? At the end of the day, I'm not worried. This is not a crash out. This is not King crashing out. It's week 1. Now, let me say this. We going against another great defense in Tennessee. Justin Simmons and them boys on that defensive front is not to be played with, okay? They can get to your quarterback. They can stop your run game. We got to show and prove that we better, okay? Hackett, I don't know what the heck you was doing, but, son, you got to make adjustments coming out of the half. Okay, you got to get some more creativity to this run game. Mike Williams, why do we have him? Y'all need to toss something to him. Get him involved in the game some type of way. Okay, get some more creativity to this offense. All right, it's week 1, baby. I'm not crashing out. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Everybody else been saying it. I just got to get it off my chest. Thank you very much to the chat. Thank you, Jake, for your time, my brother. Okay? Now, let's just say this to these weak punks in the division. Okay? Because y'all want to say, oh, look at the same old Jets at the bottom of the basement. Y'all will never be the level of competition we faced last night. Okay? All of y'all bums in the division got lucky. And I know some of y'all bums is in the chat. Are you Jill and you fraud-ass Fish fans and you sucker-duck Patriots fans? Just say this. I'm going to say this. Y'all played y'all Super Bowl Sunday against the Bengals, you bums. You fraud-ass Fish, y'all in for a rude awakening, okay? And you bum Jills struggling against the Cardinals, y'all in for a rude awakening too. But we going to be cool, baby. Jets!
There it is. We'll be all right. I do agree with a lot of what Lowski was saying. They'll make adjustments to the offensive game plan. They got to get Conklin more involved earlier than garbage time late with Tyrod. Play Mike Williams more. But here's the thing, right? They never had the ball. They didn't have enough possessions. That was the problem, right? Lazard ended up killing a drive with a brutal drop. Brees's fumble on a great play by Warner killed another. Like, you cost yourself 2 possessions right there. You had some bad luck with the interception that Rodgers threw. But I think it was 3rd down anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But, you didn't have the ball enough. The Niners had the ball for 38 minutes and 40 seconds. Aaron Rodgers has never played a game in 225 career starts where he's had that little time of possession. I think it was an outlier. I don't think it's time to panic yet. I really don't. That said, we'll learn a lot about this team. Now going into week 2, how do they respond? Because the great teams respond. 2010 Jets lost week 1 to the Ravens. Played awful. They beat New England in week 2. Then got off to that 9-2 start. The Jets should be able to go out there and bounce back into the team we think that they are. I think the biggest issue for the Jets was just no rhythm for the offense because the defense was that bad. Like, besides the final score, the only stat that I think you should take away from this game is the time of possession. But look, I'm someone who tries to be positive when I can be. Glass half full. No one was more positive about this team than the Lane Train on the postgame show last night. So I'm going to fire up this fan base right now. All right? I'm going to allow Lane to talk to all of you about why we should still be encouraged going into next week.
Great game. I know Aaron Rodgers did well tonight. Look, it's only one game. Everybody's complaining that the season's over. Week 2, they're playing Tennessee. We're going to win. I guarantee that they're going to win 37-29.
There you have it. Jets are going to win week 2, 37-29. Now, 29 is a lot of points, so I would hope the defense plays a little better than that. Maybe the Jets are up so much and then it's garbage time, Lane. But either way, if the Lane Train is predicting a win in week 2, we're fine. We're okay. Take a breath. Super chat from Barney. A-Rod looked good. O-line looked okay. D will only get better. Toughest game out of the way. Great event at T-Squared. Keep them coming. Barney, thank you, my man. And here's what I would say to everyone who did make it out last night. The best is yet to come. Jets at Titans. See you on Sunday. I also want to play back the clip here. Watch on the bottom left. You could see my reaction. I start running. I'm wearing a green Jet shirt. Brighter green Jet shirt. You could see my reaction. I start sprinting around the bar after Bree scored the touchdown. All right? See if you guys could find me. You have to watch the initial 5 seconds, left-hand side. Right there, bottom left, jumping up and down. Backwards hat. One more time. To the left, right there, jumping. Going nuts. Let's go. I mean, this was nuts last night, people. Thank you again to everyone who came out and made it so much fun. Result notwithstanding, this team will be okay. More calls right now. Let's try and get to as many as we can. This guy was at our event last night. His name is JJ. Hello, JJ.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing better than your internet connection.
No, my internet connection is very good today. Real quick, I'm glad Joe Benigno was talking about the Mets because that's the only thing that's keeping me in a good mood today. That's why I'm wearing my Mets shirt, just so I can keep the positive vibes. Unlike King Lowski, I'm going to crash out right now, and you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but at the end of the day, we played this probably the second or third best team in the league, and we are 19 points away from them. That's how I looked at it. That garbage time touchdown means nothing, so we're about 19 points away from where we need to be. The goal is to win a Super Bowl. So if we don't win a Super Bowl this year, I'm sorry, but it's a failure of a season. The expectation for us is to win the Super Bowl. Now, you can take some positives out of it if we make it to the AFC Championship or if we, win the division and win the first round of the playoffs. There can be some positives, but at the end of the day, if we don't win the Super Bowl, the season was a failure, right? So when I look at the game last night, the reason why I'm very pissed off and I'm in this type of mood is because I didn't see anything different last night than what I saw last year. When it comes to the coaching staff, I saw a lackluster offensive performance filled with penalties and key drops and turnovers at the worst times. I saw a coach not challenge a play where his running back clearly got a first down. He didn't challenge the play. Then we follow it up with Garrett Wilson not getting his foot in bounds, which you got to make that play. You want to be a great wide receiver in the league, you got to make that play. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't even have went to that if the coach would have just challenged it. He got the first down. What are we doing? Are there anybody upstairs looking at the play and saying, hey, he got it? What else did we notice last night? Well, we noticed that the personnel that we had on the field made absolutely no sense at times. Made absolutely no sense. I think coming out of the half, and I could be wrong, so please somebody go and check in. I know you're going to have Andrew on tomorrow or something. Today at 4. I believe that Quinnen Williams was barely on the field while we were getting the ball ran down our throat coming out of the half. And I couldn't believe it. I'm looking and the TVs were all over the place, so it was hard to see. But I'm like, wait, is Quinnen Williams on the field? and I know they do the whole rotation, but at a point in time when you're coming into the third quarter and we need to get a stop, and your best defensive and your best run stopping D lineman is barely on the field, it makes absolutely no sense. And the personnel that we see, Mike Williams, I know he's coming off an injury, but I mean, my God, Malachi Corley, where was he? And then to everyone else's point, at the end of the game, we have Breece Hall still on the field. We have Garrett Wilson still on the field, and Tyrod Taylor is at quarterback. Why?
Yeah, that's a fair complaint. I mean, but to your point on the penalties, they had 3 penalties the whole game. You know, one of them was on defense. Like that. I don't think you could watch this game and be like it was the same as last year. I mean, the defense was very rarely last year this bad, especially early in the year. Like, it reminds me of the Dallas game week 2. Like, they had a bad game, and Salavaldi get it fixed last year. He was right. They were 3rd in DVOA last year. They were an elite defense.
Here's where I'll challenge you. This is something that I've been saying all summer. We had ample time to prepare. Anytime we have an extended time to prepare for a team, we always look like we don't know what we're doing. We always look unprepared. It's weird. Like, we come off a bye week, we look unprepared.
They won the bye last year. They won after the bye.
Yeah, once. The other
okay.
two guys.
Well, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but it's tough to evaluate the other years when in 2021 they were an expansion level team. 2022, their quarterback situation was Zach Wilson starting. You know,
I'll give you that. All I'm saying is I didn't see much of a leap from last year to this year. That's all.
You didn't, but you saw a really good quarterback who I think got better. But that matters, man.
I cannot, as a Jets fan who haven't seen this team make the playoffs, I can't keep all my hope in a 40-year-old quarterback.
But you should. You should, because that's how the team is built. What other option do you have, JJ? This team is built on the fact that they have an elite defense. I still think, despite last night, they're a very good defense. They have an elite running back. He didn't play well last night, but Breece is still Breece. They have an elite wide receiver. Their offensive line and pass protection, I thought, was pretty good last night against a really good front. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say you should be.
But the run blocking was awful, and our best players,
because they didn't play in the preseason. That, like, it's hard to run block. It takes time. Like, give them some rep, and they're playing an elite defense that's been together on the other side. If they play that way against the Titans, then they got problems. But one game when this was probably the toughest game on the schedule all year, when we knew what this game was going to be, like, that's why they got outplayed. They got beat by a better team. It doesn't mean that the Jets can't be better.
Let me say this, right? Do I think we're going to beat the Titans? Yeah, I'm probably going to go to the game. So I have a lot of faith that we're going to beat the Titans. I think we're going to win a lot of games this year. My point is,
so just be patient.
If we're 19 points away from competing with the best teams in the league, then that means we're not going to win a Super Bowl. And if
the Jets lost 45-3 to the Patriots in 2010 in their building, and then went back there in the playoffs and beat them. Like, week 1 results very rarely, if ever, have any impact on the rest of your season. The bottom line is this: they won week 1 last year, and the season was over. We leave last night feeling pretty good about our quarterback. When was the last time we felt that way? I thought Rodgers was good last night. The problem was he only had the ball for 20 minutes. Like,
I don't disagree with you. I do think Rodgers was good. That's the only thing.
But you act like that is a small thing, JJ. That is everything. You cannot win in this league without a quarterback. I think Aaron Rodgers showed you last night against a really good defense after not playing a full game in a year and a half that he still could play at a high level. That's everything.
Let's focus on this for a second. We can't just assume that they're going to fix the defense, right? We can't just assume that, because it's a year-to-year league, right? We're playing other teams. Teams have been watching our defense. They know what our weak points are. They're going to expose us. And what we've learned over time is we're a second half defense. We make adjustments. We come out in the second half, and we pretty much shut things down. Okay, we didn't do that last night. So hopefully for the rest of the season, we get back to where we need to be. I hope that we do. But if
that's what happened in Dallas last year. Same thing.
Yes, but once again, that happened last year. So there's no guarantee it's going to happen this year. So if we're just judging off the first game, we don't look like we're Super Bowl contenders.
Okay, neither do the Bengals. Okay, they lost to the Patriots.
Good, but I'm not a Bengals fan. I'm a Jets fan. So
okay, but you should pay attention to what happens around the league, because you're just looking at it from.
The Bengals probably won't even make the playoffs this year. They're not a good football team. And their head coach is not a good head coach. Yes, he took them to the Super Bowl, but I think we can all agree Zach Taylor is not a good head coach. We wouldn't take him. If he gets fired from Cincinnati, no one's going to be like, oh, yeah, let's get that guy. So let's relax there. I don't think Cincinnati is a playoff team. The New England Patriots beat them. But at the same time, if we're looking in the AFC right now, we probably have the worst coach in the division. We probably have the worst coach in the AFC division. So I'm not saying we should panic, but I'm also saying if we want to win a Super Bowl this year, then a lot has to go right, and we're off to a very bad start. That's all.
I mean, it's one game though, man. I mean, you gotta relax, man. Like they played a team that is in the Super Bowl last year in their building. Like
that's the standard.
I understand, but the standard for the Jets to be Super Bowl worthy week 1 is nonsense. You know when you want to be playing your best ball in December. Okay. Right? Stay healthy. Aaron Rodgers will only get better, assuming he stays healthy. He looked good last night. You have a chance in every – the only reason why we were still at this watch party last night feeling like the game was not lost when they were down 2 scores is because they have 8 out there. Yep. Right? That's a fact. This game was not over last night because they had Rodgers, who looked great when he had time, and he just didn't have enough possessions. That was the problem.
I do want to end on this point, though. When we talk about the defense, no John Franklin Myers, no Bryce Huff, and I was one of the guys who said, hey, listen, we don't need Hassan Reddick. So you guys can call me an idiot for saying that if you want now. At the same time, I thought that, we did enough to develop Will McDonald. Maybe we could get something out of Michael Clemens. My hesitation is right now is our defense. If our D-line can't give us anything, Jermaine Johnson didn't look as good as I thought he would look. If our defensive line can't give us anything, we're going to be in some trouble. So hopefully, I'm not going to.
One game. One game.
All right. Okay.
You're doing the doom and gloom after one game, JJ. What do you want me to say? The season's over? I don't know what you want. You have impossible standards for this football team. Impossible standards. If the defense plays like this for an extended period of time, they got problems. You say it's a year-to-year league. We don't know. Here's what we do know. You need a quarterback in this league to win. The Jets have one. That's where it all starts. I wake up today feeling a million times better than I did a year ago. When they won a game, the Bills lost week 1. How'd their season go? Oh, they won the AFC East and won a playoff game? That's right. It's week 1, man. Remember when Tom Brady and the Bucs got destroyed against the Saints in his first game? Come on now. Jets Johnny says 13 points isn't impressive, though, Jake. Obviously, Johnny. Do you think we're going to settle for 13 points? Here's the problem. You had a possession that got lost when Brees fumbled. Lazard's drop killed another possession. And you had the ball for 20 total minutes compared to 38-40 for the Niners. You had to watch the game to see how Rodgers looked. That's what I care about more than anything. I have faith in the defense figuring it out. They have a track record. You could say a lot about this coaching staff. They can coach defense. They had a bad game last night. Same thing happened in week 2 in Dallas when I sat in person and watched that debacle. Then they fixed it. I'll probably go pull Salah's press conference after that game when he vowed to fix the defense. And he was right. Because it sounded a lot like this.
I know we're going to get the defense fixed. That is not a problem. If that's a problem, it's not a problem. And I know we're going to get a lot better from week 1 to week 2. We got a great opportunity this week against Tennessee on a short week. They were very unfortunate not to come away with the game, their game against Chicago, and they've got a lot of really good pieces. They got one of the best O-line coaches in the history of football who's given us fits over the last few years. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. But like I said, guys, it's a 17-game season, got 16 of these left, and getting the defense fixed is not going to be a problem.
I mean, have you seen some of the Rodgers week 1 results in his career? Go look at his MVP season. Hold on. My computer's glitching here. Salah's playing in my ear right now, but I don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm guessing you can't. Salah, shut up. Shut up, Bob. I think I'm the only one who can hear Robert Saleh blasting in my ears right now. God. StreamYard, get your shit together. I'm not dealing with this. God. Lane Train, help me.
Great game. I know Aaron Rodgers did well tonight. Look, it's only one game. Everybody's complaining that the season's over. Week 2, they're playing Tennessee. We're going to win. I guarantee that they're going to win 37-29.
This is not what you want. Not what you want. Stand by. Let me get this figured out here. All right, I think we're back. More calls right now. Let's go to the big fella. He's next on our show. Hey, big fella.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
You hear me okay, big fella? I'm having major tech issues right now.
I hear you good, man.
Okay.
I hear you well. I was excited yesterday. I'm going to take my L today and be ready for next Sunday in Tennessee with Lowski and the rest of them. We're gonna hopefully we do a lot better. Last night, we got punched in the mouth. And sometimes that's a good thing. We were brought back to reality. Maybe some guys were believing the hype that, we were putting behind them. We are a good team. Now we know where we have to be. And, now we have to go forward, Now, last night, the defense was bad.
They were awful. It was the worst game they had played in a very long time.
Yeah. I would have liked to see more adjustments. Like, if you see the guy running the ball up the middle a bunch of times, all right, put an extra guy there or something, stack the box a little bit. I mean, supposedly we have a great secondary. Play a little man-to-man and get, put some players up there. I mean, I don't know. And our pass rush was non-existent, but, we'll see. We'll see what happens. They didn't play a lot in the preseason together. So, it's going to take some time to adjust. Now, the offense looked decent. I mean, Rodgers, that first hit he took, I was like, oh, shit. but and I breathed a sigh of relief when he got up. But, I think we're going to be fine with that. I'd like to see Braylon Allen more. Personally, I would have had him in on that third and short, fourth and one. But, and Malachi Corley, we drafted him high. I don't know if it's a playbook thing. I don't know if it's, him adapting to a system or whatever, but, we got to get him on the field. And where was Gibson last night? You can't target only 3 guys for 3/4 of the game.
They didn't have enough possessions. They didn't have long, sustained drives. The defense never gave them a chance to get into a rhythm. I think you'll see a much better version of this offense when they play the Titans on Sunday.
No, I get that. But, I mean, when you only have, what was it, Garrett, Lazard, and Brees catching balls, you do have tight ends and stuff.
And 2 of your drives are killed by a Brees fumble. And on the first drive, Lazard dropped an easy first down when they were moving the ball.
You don't want to know what we were doing when we saw that drop. But
low-key Lazard being their leading receiver and scoring 2 touchdowns is hilarious last night if you think about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, after that drop, I was like, never throw him the ball again, and then he scores 2 touchdowns. It's like, shows how much I know. But anyway, wish I could have made it to T-Square last night. It looked like you guys had a great time. A lot of people there. Wish the result.
Tons. Yeah.
Wish the result was better. Hopefully I'll catch one sometime. But, Tennessee, we're coming for you. I love your college. You're the enemy this week, brother. So, anyway, have a good day, Jake. Take care.
I appreciate you, big fella. Look, one game. I don't know who wants to hear that. It's scream and yell. I'm not doing the doom and gloom. I'm just not. I don't believe in the hot take nonsense. I can't fake it. I know what bad quarterback play looks like. I've majored in it. I'm an expert in it. Jets had some pretty good quarterback play last night. A couple of those drives were really impressive. Give Aaron more than 20 minutes of time of possession, I think they're going to be pretty good on offense. So 1 game of 17. There are 16 more games to go. All right. By the way, the Tampa Bay Bucks were 5-5 with Brady in year 1, and then they rattled off all their wins in a row and won the Super Bowl. Like, Relax. You lost to a non-conference team in their building, and they might be the best team in the league. Does it suck? Yeah. Does it suck? Everyone's got to make the same old Jet jokes, and Jets are the only team in the AFC East that didn't win. Okay. I'll take this feeling over beating the Bills last year, who, by the way, won the division, if you didn't know, and losing Aaron Rodgers for the season on the fourth play. They'll be all right. Barney says, hot take, every Jet was a bit hyped, even 20-5. I think you mean overhyped, Barney. Yeah, I think there's maybe something to that. Right? I think Brees had an uncharacteristically poor game for his standards. I thought Garrett was good. I mean, the one play where he didn't get his foot in bounds, I mean, that could happen to anyone. Garrett was unguardable in that touchdown drive where they capped it off with the Brees score. Benny checks in. I'm not tripping over last night. It sucked, but those are the defending champs. NFC champs will kick Tennessee's ass and see the team start to roll. As Joe said, 3-1 going to London. I want 4-1 going to the Bills game on Monday night. Chencho writes in, hey, Jake, where was Braylon Allen and Corley in the run game? Felt like Gas was calling plays for Frank Gore up the middle. I believe you mean Gase. I got you. I mean, I'll tell you what, Jordan Mason looked like 49ers Frank Gore. The play calling was not great. I would like to see Braylon Allen more involved potentially. They also didn't run enough plays. I think once again, I will repeat what I just said. We will see a much different version of this offense, I believe, 6 days from now. Or I guess it's less than that now. 5 days from now? More calls right now. Let's say hello to Sneakers to Boots. Hello, Sneakers.
What's going on, Jake? So week 1 of the NFL season is without a doubt the most overhyped and overanalyzed week of the entire year. Mm-hmm. It's either doom and gloom or sunshines and rainbows. We know how it works, especially here in New York. We're very hyperbolic when it comes to this. But the Chiefs lost last year, week 1. You referenced Tom Brady crapping the bed against New Orleans when they won their Super Bowl. So don't buy into the doom and gloom. What is most important, that Rodgers made it out alive. That was the bar that we needed to set, and we came out successful. He had amazing throws, unbelievable throws. I mean, if you didn't get the chills watching those back shoulder throws to Garrett had that one leaping catch, and then Lazard had that another great ball placement catch. I don't know. You're just not a football fan. Like those are just impeccable throws. So yep. You got to realize what the quarterback situation we did have, like compared to what we have now, it's night and day. It wasn't the limiting factor of that game yesterday. It was our defense. The defense was the limiting factor. I do think we're going to fix that, though, because if you remember back in 2022, what happened week 3 against the Bengals? Quinnen Williams went off. Quinnen Williams went off on Wycott and the entire defense. Had that splat on the sideline, and then the whole defense changed. So we gotta reel ourselves back in. Week 1, it's definitely emotional. So
they've had games like this defensively, and then they've responded really well. I mean, like Dallas comes to mind last year. You bring up the Bengals game. After that Bengals game, they became a top 3 defense in DVOA the rest of the way. So that's now two different examples earlier in the year where the defense didn't play well, and then they figured their bleep out and became an elite defense. I still have a lot of faith that they're going to be a very good defense this year.
Yeah, and we went against one of the top offenses in the league, one of the top teams in the league. And the 49ers have been playing together for years within the same system with the same cohesive unit for the most part. Maybe 1 or 2 changes on the offensive line, but they've had years together. We're pretty much mashing up our offensive line for the first time, right? And we have 3 new pieces, and we lost the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We even have new pieces on the defensive line, right? Kinlaw's there. We don't have Al Woods. We don't have Quentin Jefferson. Like, we have now Tack McKinley. Like, so there's a lot of moving parts, especially in the interior parts of the line. So it's going to work itself out, man. We just need to play hard. We just need to come out. And that's where this coaching staff needs to sack up, because every single time they do play an important game, they just fall flat. They fall short of the moment, and it needs to change. We had months and weeks to prepare for this game. I know JJ said it, like every time that they come out with a prepared game, they always kind of crap the bed. And last year they did come out with a win after the bye, but that was against the Giants. And we should have lost that game. Honestly, we should have
for sure. But my whole point was, like, You want to be playing your best ball later on in the year. They started 4-3 last year and then fell apart. Like, you need a quarterback. Like, eventually, if you don't have a quarterback, it catches up with you, as we saw last year. They have a quarterback this year. I think they could clean up the defensive stuff, and they'll win some games here and kind of get going and build confidence.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing right now. We have a quarterback. Let me ask you this, Jet fans, and I'll leave it at this. Would you rather be the Jets or the Browns? You got to be the Jets because at least the Browns. I mean, the Jets have a quarterback. The Browns ain't got nothing. Deshaun Watson's a shell of himself. At this point, they'd probably rather start Jameis Winston. Gary would be throwing a parade once he starts throwing a bunch of touchdowns and interceptions. So that'll be an entertaining skit to follow. But yeah, let's go, Jet fans. We're gonna win these next 4 games. We're gonna go 4-1 into the Bills game, I believe. So optimism out the wazoo. Let's go, Jets, baby.
Sneakers, I appreciate you. 100%. They play this poorly against the Titans, a different story. I'm not expecting that. I'm giving them a break for week 1. We will not be so lenient beyond this. I think that's fair. So some of you act like this defense has never proven to be good. I don't want to hear it. Coops writes in, I get we lost to a non-conference team, not a major game. Still the performance lackluster. I expected more from the defense. We need more turnovers, Jets. Yeah, Coops, I'm with you. I expected way more from the defense. I thought this game would be a field goal either way. I picked the Jets. It was clearly a homer pick. Wasn't going to not pick them and then host a watch party of 400 people. But I thought this game would be tight. Come down to a field goal either way. I was disappointed by the defense. That said, it's not the first time this has happened, and it happens a lot in week 1 to a lot of teams. Was the season over last year in Buffalo? Good teams find a way. I mean, Brady's first game, he got destroyed in Tampa. They were 5-5 that year, and then went on a run. It's week 1. Aaron's MVP season in 2021. What was that game against Jameis Winston and the Saints? All right, let me pull up the box score to that one. That was ugly. I mean, they have a quarterback. That's the biggest thing. Where is this? Here you go. You ready for this? This was the score of Aaron Rodgers' 2021 opener. They lost 38-3. Rodgers 15 of 28, 133 yards, 2 interceptions. Gary's favorite player, Jameis Winston, threw 5 touchdowns, 14 of 20, 148 yards. It's week 1, man. When weird things happen. Zach Wilson beat the Bills last year in week 1. JJ writes in, it's not about us losing. It's how we lost. Stop with all this. It's week 1. We couldn't compete with the league's best. That's alarming. Terrible coach. All right. I'm JJ. Thanks for the money. Appreciate it. Great point, man. You're the man. Hennessy writes in, when we go on a win streak, remind them of today. Henny, that's on you, man. Just keep track of all the people jumping off the ship after 1 game. Terrell's a Jet fan. Chill, tough loss. 8 look good. Last night was one that will show us what it will take to be one of the last teams standing. We needed that. Yeah, I think there's something to that. I do. Don't believe your own hype. You're not at the Niners level yet. Remember that. I think there's something to that. Hey, shout out to Barney. He became officially an Asmaniac. He hit the join button. Thank you, Barney. Let's get to more of your calls right now. Let's check in with someone who was at our event last night. When he walked in, he tried to keep a low profile. I refused to allow that to be the case. I made sure that everyone knew that we were joined by the great V-Man.
It's time for V-Man to talk about Puerto Rico and his Puerto Rican roots.
Hey, Jack, what's up? How you doing?
V-Man, I'm glad you made it home safely.
I wouldn't say safely.
You wouldn't say safely. What happened?
I ended up falling asleep, missing my spot, and I had to throw an extra $10 out for an Uber.
You missed your train? You missed the stop?
Yep.
Wow. How'd you wake up? Did you were you in a panic? Were you like, oh my God, where am I?
No, I just looked outside, I saw my stop, and then I run to the door. It's already shut. And then I look at the train schedule. The next train after peak the next train leaving from that stop doesn't come until 4 o'clock in the morning. So it took me forever to find it to get an Uber at that hour.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's
This
weird.
is what I
think
mean, man. I was worried about you falling asleep. I said you should have had
no,
some
no,
caffeine. I was going to
no.
get you a vodka Red
It,
Bull last night.
it wasn't. It wasn't that I was tired. It was that I think the intercom in my car was dead.
You fell asleep. It was sad.
No, I did not fall asleep. I told you the intercom in the train car was dead because they announced each stop, so I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear it. There was no peak skill, please. If this is your stop, please get off. There was nothing. There was none of that. The intercom in my train car was dead, so I didn't hear it.
A likely story, but go on.
Yeah, but no, talk about the game. Stop being a bunch of negative Nance. It was actually because Joe was complaining about wearing Jet stuff with a Yankees hat, so I was gonna just wear this. But yeah, so no. But talking about the game, yeah, it was frustrating. It was a loss, but I agree with you that I'd rather have this feeling than the feeling of last year. And and look, people are being pessimistic to be pessimistic because that's just what they are. Like, look, we know what this defense is capable of. Sure, they've had some changing pieces on the D line in recent this season, but the thing is, you trust this staff. They have a track record of getting the most out of this defense. It's an ugly game against one of the top teams in the NFL right now. A team like they're one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. So it's like you got outplayed by one of the top 3 teams in the other conference. It's a non-conference game, so it's not a big deal, and you can just bounce back from this. You got a soft schedule to get yourself into a rhythm because that's what football is about, getting into a rhythm. And everyone overreacts to week 1. You're right. Everyone overreacts. It's like you win week 1. It's like we're going to the Super Bowl. You lose week 1. Oh, we're going to be bottoming out for the top 5 pick. It's ridiculous. So just calm down, see how this progresses. Then we can make our assessment.
I agree. I think it's frustrating. Like I'm disappointed, but I'm also not going to sit here and act like we haven't seen things like this happen in the NFL a lot. Like it's a 1-game sample size. It's a great team they played. If they play poorly against the teams that they are now expected to beat coming up, they were not expected to win last night, despite what some of you delusional fans thought.
Yeah, no, I could say, like, if you get, like, you lose Gerard Mayo, I'll be pissed. You lose to Bo Nix, I'll be ticked. You lose to Tennessee, I'll be ticked.
Yeah, I'm disappointed, and I think every Jet fan has a right to be pissed and annoyed with how the defense played last night. And but if you're saying that this is now a defining mark of the season and that there's no way the Jets could still win the division, go on a deep playoff run, like I don't buy it. Like I had the Jets going 12-5 this year, meaning I had them losing 5 games. This was likely going to be one of the games they were going to lose. If you just look at the schedule, it was going to be tough. Now, let's see them bounce back.
No, I agree, and it's a very easy game because let's be honest, it's a Titans team that's in transition, so you should have no trouble. You're a team that's supposed to be all set up and ready to go, so you should be able to beat a team in transition.
B-Man, I'm glad you
I
eventually
gotta
made
say
it
this
home.
though. I gotta say this though before you let me off with JJ. He's talking about with Zach Taylor. The guy managed to get a winning season with after his starting quarterback went down. That's not a bad coach.
Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job last year with Jake Browning and company.
Like if he was just a coach being carried by a good quarterback, they would have fell apart, and they would have finished under 500. But yeah, so that's just I'm gonna leave that off with that. So see ya.
Overall, you had a good time last night, V-Man?
Oh yeah, no, I had a great time.
All right, sounds good. Farewell.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Now I think I muted myself. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Major tech issues. Gary says, can you post the call-in link? I did. The lines are full, so I don't want people saying, I can't join. So that's why I have removed it. But I posted it back. Jets Johnny says, trust the staff. Why? How could anyone? I don't know. They've won 7 games with no quarterback the last 2 years. Statistically speaking, Robert Saleh has the highest winning percentage of any coach who's ever had an offense as bad as the Jets offense was last year. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying he's Vince Lombardi, but before we say he can't coach, can we, I don't know, maybe see how he does when he's not playing the best team in the NFC on the road and his quarterback's first game back in a year and a half? Just saying. I thought it was a bad night for the defense and for Saleh's staff. I thought they got outcoached, they got outplayed. I also think it's week 1. There's 16 games to go, and I don't think this game will define the Jets season. If it does, then he won't be here next year. I don't think that will be the case. Let's keep going. Let's go to Terry in Ohio. He's next. Hey, Terry.
Jake, how are you?
Hey, Terry. What's going on?
So, can we get to the fact that how much I fucking hate primetime games and how much the last 40 years the Jets have absolutely sucked in primetime? It seems like every time I'm excited for one of these primetime games, they do something like this. And I got to take shit from everybody for another week. But great to have Rodgers healthy and watch him throw. I mean, I got my kids here dancing on the floor after that first drive and after the touchdown to Lazard. Hey, they can actually throw it now. The Jets can actually throw it now. My littlest one's 8, so she's real excited about it too. It's great to see. The thing that concerned me was how they lost and how they just got physically outclassed. The defense, they just couldn't even put up a fight, it seemed like, against that running game. It's not like they didn't know what they were going to do. And as soon as they, Purdy just dropped back, there was zero pressure, not even a breath on him all fucking night. So I don't know, man. It's very frustrating.
It was a bad defensive performance is what it was. If it's a trend, it's a problem. If it's an outlier like Dallas was last year or the Bengals game 2 years ago, then, you played one game of 17. It just magnified because it's week 1 and it was in prime time, as you talked about, and with everyone watching.
I see the stat last night, 1-13 in their last primetime games.
Yeah, I mean, but they've also been horrendous during the last 14 years, right? So it's like it's not shocking that they're also bad in primetime when you typically would play a good team and the Jets have been a bad team. You know what I mean? Like, the stats are a little misleading. You play in primetime because you're supposed to be playing another good team. That's why the NFL televises it. The problem is the Jets have sucked for 14 years, so I'm not shocked by the primetime record, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hope that that they're not gonna get bullied all year. It just seemed like our guys just looked smaller, right? They just didn't look smaller. Niners receivers just look big, thick, fast. And you got like Garrett, who's this tiny little guy, and then Sauce, this tiny little guy. Man, I just want them to be able to hold up for a season.
Sauce is the least of their problems, man. I mean, he was phenomenal.
I hope so.
He had a stinger and came back in the game. I mean, did you see the play on Ayuk when he knocked the ball out of his hand? That was Sauce. I don't have the stat up in front of me. He graded out as like the best corner in the NFL I saw already.
For the week?
Yes.
Good.
Did you watch? Did you see him last night? He was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the whole game. So
yeah. What are you worried about Sauce, Terry?
I worried about him getting hurt.
Anyone could get hurt.
Yeah. So offense, I just think if it got away from the run a little earlier, I think looking how well Rodgers was able to drop back in the time. I mean, the offensive line could pass protect, it seemed like, for days. And the Niners are one of the best rushing teams in the league. So
yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, that's Terry. I appreciate it, man. That's a huge positive. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not panicking. If the O-line looked like trash, Rodgers was running for his life, and the defense played this bad, I'd feel differently. They could pass protect. They'll be able to run block when they get more seasoning and they gel. They didn't play in the preseason at all. We really think Brees is going to have another game like that again? Like, people, relax. We got a guy complaining about Sauce now. What are we doing? Like, I wish I could just press a button and fast forward to this game on Sunday. I cannot do. I know it's a short week. I cannot do 4 or 5, whatever it is. My math sucks. Days of this. I can't. All right? I cannot do this. It is one mother effing game against a great team. When we all made our picks, 11-6, 12-5. You know they were going to lose some games, that means, right? Like when you give a record prediction, I didn't hear all of you besides Neil going 17-0. Richard writes in, Jake, keep doing what you're doing, bro. I'm trying, man. I might not make it. the potential of what this offense could do with a healthy Rodgers. I'm excited for the season. My concern is Salah's being outcoached at times. Let's go Jets. I mean, yeah, he got outcoached last night. He did. Good news is they play the Niners again. We'll see him in the Super Bowl. I'll worry about it then. Dre says, to all the fake-ass Jet fans that are crying, Salah must go. Stop. A real fan is in it for the long haul. It's week 1. Are you slow? Here's the one thing I'll say, Dre. I have no issue with anyone criticizing the coach or any of that. I just think some of the criticism is so over-the-top ridiculous, and that's where these people lose me. You want to have doubts about the head coach, that's fine. He's got to win. He's got to win. He's got to prove it. But I don't think losing to the Niners means that it's some sort of like grand indictment on the Jets season. And you know what's funny? The Jets had one last night. You'd have people being like, it's week 1. Niners didn't have McCaffrey. So no matter what, it would be spun somehow negatively to the anti-Jet folks. Monty says, unfortunately, we're back at the media gaslighting Jet fans and haters for clicks. Offense played well against San Fran defense. Why are people mad? Well, you know the answer. You know the answer. More of your calls right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we say hello to Doug in his room. We got Neil on the line coming up. Gary's on the line. We got some heavy hitters here, so stay tuned. What's up, Doug?
Not much. So I'm going to go with the one, not like all the negatives everyone's been going with. I think a big thing we're not realizing how much Lecky Fotu being on the IR hurts because he was supposed to be our run stuffer. So not having him in right now, I think is a big thing. So I think when he gets back from the IR, that will be big. And then as for this upcoming Sunday, I would start Leonard Taylor or put Leonard Taylor as an active over Braden McGregor since he's more of that natural defensive tackle than an edge guy.
I like it. I would do that too.
So then now getting into the positives, like you said, like I would 1,000 out of 1,000 times take this 0-1 over the 1-0 from last year. 1,000 out of 1,000 times. Like not even close. Not even close. People are overreacting. It's week 1. It happens. Like you said it. Like the Chiefs lost last year to the Lions. Like it happens. It's week 1. There's 16 more games to go. We just need to calm the hell down.
You know what's funny about that Lions team too? So they win week 1. They have all this hype. And then I think they lost week 2 at home to Seattle. And they were 1-1. Like if the Jets beat the Titans, they were 1-1, just like that Lions team was last year.
Exactly. Like you said about the Bills. So I'm going to go to the positive. Rodgers looked good. That when he got the guy that jumped offside, that was vintage Rodgers. It was beautiful. I almost cried. Getting the jump offside, the throw was perfect.
It was a laser. That was sick.
It was laser. It was and also on that drive, the throw to Lazard along the sideline was the best throw he had all day.
I agree with you. I thought the 2 best throws we made were both to Lazard, and then I thought the actual best play was the ridiculous 3rd down back shoulder in a spot where only Garrett could go up and get it, and I was like all day.
So and then the pass pro was incredible. I think that they had 1 sack, and then they had I think maybe 3 or 4 pressures, if that around that. So the pass pro was protectable. And then again, we got to remember who we're playing. We're playing the NFC Championships, one of the best teams in the NFL, arguably the best team in the NFL. Now we're playing the Titans, who you saw what they did against the Bears in the second half. It was an utter collapse. And if you saw what the clips from what the Bears defensive line was doing to the Titans offensive line, the Titans don't have a very good offensive line. The Bears were abusing Will Levis. I have no reason to expect the Jets can't do that. So just take it week by week. People need to calm the hell down. It's a long season. And remember, we were 1-0 last year, but the season was over. We're 0-1. The season is not over. There's a lot more positives to take away than negatives, I think.
Yeah. Well, 100%, Doug. Great call. I mean, here are 2 things I'll emphasize again. In a league that is all about the quarterback, you feel like you have a good quarterback. That's 1. And 2, in a league that is all about protecting the quarterback, I thought the pass protection last night against an elite defensive front was very good. I haven't watched all the tape yet. Fialco has, and he's coming on at 4 Eastern today. I thought the offensive line played well in pass protection. They got to get better as in run blocking for sure. But I think that naturally comes when you play together more. Like pass blocking is more individual. There's communication involved. There's teamwork involved. But it's more like, hey, you're one-on-one against a guy. Can you hold up? And they held up. Run blocking is more like schematic, coaching, chemistry. And that takes some time. But I'm not worried about that. Like Brees last year had no offensive line and was second in the NFL in yards from scrimmage. They'll be all right. Let's say hello to Jay Graves right now. Hello, Jay Graves.
Hey, what's going on? So I'm gonna be like Aaron Rodgers. RELAX. Relax. And like you said, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Like I was disappointed in our defense for sure. They laid an egg. I like so we were right that long Lazar. We caught the guy coming off sides. Long bump Lazar. I'm like, all right, defense got to wake up, make a stop. We're about to make this a game. And they just shit the bed all night long. Like you said, it was kind of like Dallas. But here were my kind of couple of takeaways. I know we didn't have a high time of possession, but like I did want to see more Braylon, more Mike, more Corley. Like I know we didn't get the rhythm, but like do something to spark the offense. Like do something. Like the play call reminded me of Gase. I was like, why? Like I get it. You want to establish the run, 100%, but you got all these new pieces to play with. Try something. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? I mean, that was kind of my takeaway from that. My other thought was the Chiefs played their first strings in the preseason, and they came out firing. But I don't know if that's more akin to that they're the defending Super Bowl champs or that they played some of their guys in the preseason. I think San Fran did too, didn't they? I feel like I saw Kittle playing. So
They did.
I mean, remember I had said back in the summer I was interested to see how all these extra snaps in practice and would akin to would relate to the regular season. Clearly, it didn't work out for us. So
I think it hurt. I think it hurt the defense more than the offense. Like I thought
they
the offense
looked
showed.
gassed. They looked gassed.
They looked They didn't tackle well either. Like they were out of position. There was a great stat. I should have bookmarked it. Just the amount of missed tackles the Jets had. Like it was their most in the game in forever.
Yeah, it was. I did like though in the beginning how we were sliding Quinn around. We had him on the edge, and he freaking demolished that right tackle. And then we kind of didn't see that again. So I was like, "What's up with that?" And then, of course, when Lazard drops that third down, I'm screaming, F Lazard, double birds to the screen. I'm like, here we go again.
I know.
But he redeemed himself. But man, Fred Warner wasn't playing last night. But he knocked that ball out of Brees. He was chirping Brees like the whole first quarter, too. So, like, I mean, would I have liked this to see us be more competitive? Sure. But I mean, again, I'm not mad, just disappointed. Like you said, Rodgers stayed upright. Well, not upright, but he's got out healthy. He got hit a few times. We got that off his, he got back in the flow of the game. But yeah, just definitely disappointed. So that's kind of my takeaways from the game. But excited for T Square next week. I'm kind of glad I didn't go last night because that would have been a shitty bus ride home. But I'm expecting a full turnaround next week. We're getting this defense fixed, and we're going 1-1. Let's go. J-E-T.
Oh. In this moment, Jay Graves, you would have been going nuts. I mean, it was pretty sick. It was wild.
I definitely when we scored, I was like, oh shit, I wonder what T Square is running right now. Like literally that was the first thought that popped in my head. I was like, oh, they must be going nuts right now. So yeah, I am super excited for next week. But Jets, let's go.
Let's go, Jay Graves. I appreciate you. Let's keep it rolling here. Ladies and gentlemen, we say hello to a guy smoking a cigar, but unfortunately, it is not a victory cigar. We say hello to Neil, who's next. Hello, Neil.
Jake, how are you?
I'm hanging in, Neil. Hanging in.
Look, great. Benigno he and I share a brain. The only difference is he remembers a lot more than I do about past games. He's got that recall about 1982 and what happened in this game. I mean, it's incredible.
He's more negative than you are, though. You're always glass half full. He's glass half empty.
I will say this to you. He was good. He was controlled. JJ, fantastic call. Just, it got his first, you got him on for 7 minutes. His first 2 minutes were good. And then he started really getting off the track and starting to talk about the coaching and what we didn't do. But the point he made, first of all, I took my clothes. I want everybody that was at T Square yesterday. take your clothes you wore. I put mine in a bag. I was going to bury them in the backyard, but I took them and put them in a garbage bag and put them out in my garbage pail.
Yeah.
I'm going to replace every outfit we lose on with a new outfit and a new team and new everything. Okay. Enough of this old shit we all wear because it's got a lot of crap on it from all our past seasons. So take your stuff that you wear with the old Jet logo and all this other crap and throw it in the garbage every time we lose a game. And it's the last time I'm going to the garbage pail this year. Okay. So let's start with that.
I hope you're right.
Offensively, I had a lot of time to think about this last night. I know we spoke last night briefly. We had 20 minutes of possession time. And in that time, we had a turnover, we had the drop pass by Lazard, and we had the step out of bounds by Garrett. We take those 3 plays out, and we still have the ball for a considerable amount of time. If we have the ball for the same extra 10 minutes, let's say, no question in my mind, we score at least another 10 to 14 points. So, we get our 23 to 27 points. Put that aside. Let's forget about the offense. Offense is fine. The line did well. No procedure calls. No false starts. The offensive line did fantastic. They helped. Hey, Rodgers did not spend any time on his butt. He looked in. He was just a little out of rhythm. He'll get that rhythm set. He'll get those passes where they need to be. That's a little rust. You got to give him a little rust here. It's the first game the guy played in how many months, okay? It's live action. He was a little tentative. He was worried about getting hit a little bit. But let me tell you something. No big sacks. Bosa was totally taken out of the game. He didn't have any sacks. So let's relax with the offense. Now let's move to the other side of the coin, okay? Defensively, JJ made a good point. Why in the first part of the third quarter is Quincy Williams on the sideline when we need a stop desperately? That's a very, very good point by JJ. Let's make it real, okay? Trent Williams, the guy played every snap of the game without a preseason, without a training camp. He went in for an IV, and he came back out and played. That's what winners do, okay? If you're not stopping the run, Kinlaw and Williams absolutely have to be in the game. You can't put Solomon Thomas in there. He gets pushed around too easily. He's too small. You've got to stay with your guys and reestablish the run. If somebody's running against you like they are, okay, Ulbrich has to take a big hit here in my mind because if somebody's daring you to stop the run, you can't have your linebacker 7 yards in the back, waiting and playing back at that. Bring them to the line of scrimmage. Run blitz, okay? You have the guys, if you run blitz and you have Chuck Clark, who's a good tackler, bring him up to the line of scrimmage like we used to do with Adams. Bring them up and start knocking guys backwards and stopping the run. And I don't care if they can't throw over the top on us. If we don't have enough confidence in our back end to get up there and really put some pressure on the running game, that's a problem. Okay, right, Jake, or wrong?
Yeah, I agree. Whatever they tried to do defensively against the run, they were bad, and they over pursued at times. The tackling was poor. It's very rare this defense has a bad game like they did. I can point to the Bengals game early in the year 2 years ago, Dallas, where you and I were both at together last year. I think they'll be all right. But once again, this idea that Hassan Reddick was a luxury, I called BS on that for weeks on this show. He's not. They could use him. They didn't pressure Purdy at all last night. He was supposed to run for his life. That didn't happen.
Look, he's not going to run for his life when he doesn't have to. All he had to do was hand the ball off and jump it out to
he still dropped back 28 times, and they had one pressure the whole night.
I'm not going to go with the look. If we have a lead, the pressure's going to get to the quarterback. That's a fact, okay? But the reality
Reddick could play the run. He's not bad. He's better than Huff against
Will
the run.
McDonald is trying to stop the run. You can't do that, okay? So let's forget about that. Okay, here is the reality. Everybody, you get your asses to T-squared. on Sunday. I will be there. Okay.
Let's go.
No excuses. I will be there. All right. Everybody come with your game face on, because I'm going to tell you something right now. We're going to stop the run. We're going to stop Pollard. We're going to stack the defense. And Rodgers, I'm telling you right now, Rodgers, this is the best thing that could have happened to us defensively, because I'm going to tell you right now, you think Rodgers is not going to be in the defense's face with their little dance moves when they make a play here and there? He's telling the defense today, he's saying, look, guys, I can't score 31 points when I'm on the sideline watching you guys give up first down after first down. How many times did the 49ers punt yesterday? One.
Well, here's the thing too, right? I think when you have Rodgers, the defense relaxes a little bit. Like, we don't have to be perfect. And I think sometimes,
the point.
And I think this is the wake-up call for the defense that, hey, like, you guys were good last year. You improved anything now. Go out there and bounce back.
Not buying the headlines that you're the number one defense. They're buying the headlines. They dance around. Again, this is the wake-up call we need, okay? Because let's put it this way. If we lose to 3 to San Francisco, defense plays okay. Rodgers scores 28 points. We lose 31-28. I'm not happy with that either if we win 31-28, because next week the Titans come in with Callahan and they shove it down our throat again, and we're right back where we started. This is what we needed. The defense has to come on strong. They have to come in and make a statement, and we have to jump up 14-17. And we jump up on the Titans, which we're well more than capable of doing on Sunday. We're going to have that cheering section like you saw in that first drive. That is going to happen the entire game. You and I are going to run around that bar 17 times, and I'm going to beat you every time around. Okay? I'm telling you right now, let's get excited. This is it. That game, we buried the ball, like Rex used to say. It's done. No more bullshit. No more doom and gloom. No more it's over. No more blame the coaches. Again, they get a pass. Okay? Again, the score is irrelevant. The fact that JJ's saying we lose by 19 points to a team that's how far off we are. Jake, you came back with the perfect point. You took the words right out of my mouth. We got shellacked by the Patriots 49-3 and came back and beat them in the
Aaron Rodgers lost in his opener 38-10 2 years ago, won the MVP. Everyone take a breath. Neil, I need you to repeat after me. RELAX.
RELAX. But I don't want Rodgers to relax. I want him on that defense today on the plane. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm walking to the back where the defense is, and I'm going to sit down with my cocktail, and I say, listen, guys, enough of the bullshit. Stop reading the papers. Stop looking at your hype. Stop counting your money, Carter II. Stop counting your bag and everybody looking for a bag. Get your asses out there and stop playing video games and going on commercial sauce. Get in there. Tackle.
They'll be all right, Neil. They'll be okay.
Jake, I've made all 13 of my points. Before you cut me off again, I'm going to throw myself out this goddamn window.
I just love the idea of people watching the show for the first time, and that's their first time they saw that Neil video, which I love. Hit the like button if you're tuning in. There's still 1,000 of you watching live. If you tuned in late, Joe Benigno joined us. He'll join us every single day following a Jets game. Find me the show. Find me the radio show, the podcast, the YouTube stream that has put together the lineup like we have for all the Asmaniacs. Here's the weekly schedule. Joe B every Monday. Will Parkinson every Monday afternoon. Robbie Sabo Tuesday mornings. Fialco Tuesday afternoons. Now, because the Jets played Monday night, Fialco's joining us today at 4. Jeff Parles will be Wednesday at 4. We're going to move Robbie to Wednesday. That's tomorrow morning. Nick Farias Thursday in the morning. Fireman Ed every Friday. Boy Green every Friday afternoon. Post-game show after every game. Get hyped. I know I am. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. I'm going to have to put the timer on for some of the callers here because we're approaching a 2-hour show, and I got a million things I got to do today before 4 o'clock. But I appreciate everyone who's on hold. If you're on hold, I will definitely get to you. Monty writes in, we lost by a few field goals. You can't make a Super Bowl team, you build a Super Bowl team. Niners are the best team in the league. We didn't even know if Rodgers could really play. Self-immolation. Yeah, I mean, they leave this game with Rodgers looking good. I don't want to say he was great. I thought he showed some signs of rust. I thought he was good, though. I thought he showed you some vintage Rodgers. I mean, the throws he made to Lazard were awesome. Like, find me the Jet quarterback that's done that. And the pass protection was good. Keep the O-line healthy. They'll get better in run blocking, and they'll be okay. Like, this was an outlier game, folks. Aaron Rodgers has never had a game in 225 starts where he's had 21 minutes and 20 seconds of time of possession. This was an outlier. They'll be all right. C says, a lot of people in this chat must have been young to remember the Ravens smoking the Jets in 2010. Look at how that played out. I referenced that game earlier. There was more hype for that game than this game last night, by the way. Just so you know. Because the Jets were at home. It was the first home game at MetLife ever for the Jets. It was Monday night. Justin Keller is still sore from that hit Ray Lewis put on him. I remember that game well. And going into high school the next day was miserable. Never forget it. And then thank God they went out there and they smoked the Pats. Sanchez, I think, threw 2 or 3 touchdowns. One of them was to Braylon Edwards, who did the whoop over whoever the corner was on the Patriots. I mean, that was a sick game. They bounced back. I expect the Jets to win Sunday now. Did you watch Will Levis play? If they can't dominate him and basically, you know what the game plan should be for the Titans? How teams would play Zach Wilson last year. Dare Will Levis to beat you. See if you can. We need Reddick. My mind has totally changed. They needed Reddick before this game last night, and I've been saying it. People are like, we're fine. No. Do they have a good defense without Hassan Reddick? Last night aside, I still think they do. You want to be one of the best defenses in the league? You need the guy you brought in to replace the guy who signed with the Eagles, who had 10 sacks last year and was really good at pressuring the quarterback. I just... The coping from this fan base about Hassan Reddick all summer drove me nuts. You need him. He's had 11 or more sacks 4 years in a row. That doesn't just happen. The guy's an outstanding football player. He might be an idiot, but he's an outstanding football player. Joe Rod says, Rodgers on McAfee at 1 today. He'll probably say RELAX. I mean, Rodgers nailed it before the game. He said, if we win, everyone's saying we're going to the Super Bowl. If we lose, same old Jets. And based on some of these chats and calls, that's exactly what's happening here. Let's say hello to Eric. He joins us now. What's up, Eric?
Hey, Jake. How are you, bro?
I've been better, man, but I'm hanging in. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, the defense didn't really do themselves favors. They were out there way too much. They definitely got to tighten up for the next game. Lane had said something very interesting on the call earlier today. I was actually at work, and he was saying that we were going to win like 30-plus points to like 29. If Will Levis is dropping more than 20 points on the Jets, like, we have a problem, which I don't think we're going to have an issue with them whatsoever. So big thing is just got to tighten it up. Offense looked cool. Like, getting to actually see Rodgers play pretty much the whole game was awesome. Lazard definitely surprised a bunch of people, so it was cool to see him get a couple touchdowns.
He showed a pulse. Peter Castro was giddy watching that last night.
For sure, right? I really would have liked to see Braylon Allen get on some of those yards, like those 3-and-1s where Breece Hall really was having issues getting in. We drafted him for a reason, so it would have been nice seeing if he could just kind of just power his way through for us to get those first downs. But, hey, the 49ers are really good. To me, it just felt like Kyle Shanahan was just, once he kind of figured out, like, Saleh's ticks, so to speak, like, he kind of figured out how to really manipulate the defense, like with Kinlaw and stuff. And what was it, Mason? Mason was slicing us up really bad. And by the time we were even able to, like, kind of stop some of the runs, the backfield was opened up and the receivers were getting in on huge plays. So maybe the whole hype of being, top 5, top 3, top 1 defense kind of got to our team's head a little bit, and they got humbled. But it's a wake-up call, and I know they're going to come out strong. It's disappointing that you lose the first game, but again, half the league is 0-1 at the start of the season, so we'll be fine. We're going to definitely step it up, and I hope that they do, because a lot of our upper management, they're on the hot seat, so they need to play like their jobs are on the line, which they are, so for sure. And I hope as Aaron Rodgers continues on through this season, I have a feeling he's really going to start like just ripping souls out of everybody's like bodies when he plays all the other teams. So I'm excited, and let's just not, let this one loss get to us. It's disappointing. We know our team's capable of winning. We just gotta give him time, and it will be rewarded at the end. That's pretty much all I wanted to say, Jake.
Eric, I appreciate it, man. Good level-headed take. It's one game, man. I know people are tired of hearing that, but it's funny if the Jets had won. I'm sure the people who claim to be Jet fans but actually aren't Jet fans would say, well, they didn't have McCaffrey. Andrew says, pass rushes are irrelevant if you can't stop the run. Well, it's a nice reminder to the Jets. You have to earn the right to rush the quarterback. If you don't have gap integrity, if you don't play your assignment, if you miss the amount of tackles they miss, you don't get the right to rush the quarterback. I think it's a wake-up call. It's a reminder to this defense. And just because you have Aaron Rodgers doesn't mean you don't still have to play to the standard you set last year, even without Huff and JFM. It's a nice reminder. Also, part of this game, too, was unfortunate circumstances. You lose Mosley in the middle of a critical drive. You lose Sauce in the middle of a critical drive. But they played uncharacteristically poor defensively. What they allow? 8 straight possessions of points by the Niners? Brutal. Let's say hello to Gary, who's next. Uh-oh. Hello, Gary.
What's going on, Jake? I wanted to let you know, I can't send you a super chat from my 3D boxing account. So I have to go to the other account, my other account, to send you a super chat. Like, it won't allow me to send it. So if it's happening to me, it's possible it's happening to other people too. I can't even do like my milestone chat, the milestone super chat. I can't send any super chat at all.
Are you on the YouTube ban list, Gary? Is that what's happening here?
Well, I can do it for other shows. I just can't do it to yours.
That is weird.
Yeah, I just wanted to. If it's happening to me, it could be happening to other people too. So I just wanted to put that out there. So we want the good or the bad first? What do we want to do? The positive or the negative?
Just whatever. Let it rip.
It was really nice to get a quarterback who could convert third downs and third and mediums. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw that as a Jet fan. Usually 3rd and 7, you just punt the ball. You might as well just punt the ball. 3rd and 7 was an automatic first down for Rodgers. So, I mean, I know we only scored 19. We really only scored, 13 with Rodgers. Okay, but it wasn't that bad, right? The offense looked good. The line looked good. The problem seemed to be solved from last year, or at least improved. Like, if this was my fighter, at the first round, I would say, okay, you see what you got. How's his power? You're okay. We got through the first round.
It's always boxing. Amazing.
17-round fight. We got 16 to go. We got to pick it up now, okay?
Knockouts matter when you're landing up jabs. That's what I'm struggling with.
Knockouts we lost the round, but we certainly didn't get knocked out.
Okay.
But it's okay. Shake it off. Shake off the rust. You got it.
I'm shaking it. Yep. 16
rounds to go. We're going to be here for a while. That's the positive, right? I mean, it wasn't. There were positive things we can take from that, even though the game didn't go as we want. The two things that I've defended Salah on the show. I've said he's not the problem. I kind of want your take. Is it possible that the haters might have a point? Is he not? There were no adjustments at halftime. They came out and mollywopped us in the second half. I mean, is it possible?
Yeah, of course. I mean, until they win, of course it's possible. I'm choosing to acknowledge that it was bad, and also it's 1 of 17. Like, if they have more games like this against inferior teams, then yeah. But wouldn't we all agree this might be their toughest game they play all year?
And I said that the toughest game is week 1.
So I don't know if Robert Saleh is a great coach. I also don't think we need to sit here and fire him after one game. Like, I had the Jets going 12-5 this year, meaning I had 5 losses. We went through one of them last night.
Yeah, and I've made the same argument you have. Like, he played with Zach Wilson his whole coaching career. Like, you can't get on him too much, right? Like, there's no way.
And to be fair, like okay, if you use the Dallas game as an example, he vowed to fix the defense. He did. They were 3rd in the league last year. You know what I mean? So. It's one of those things where the difference is if he fixes the defense this time around, you have a legitimate offense. Like, that's the difference with this team now.
My concern is maybe the haters. Maybe he's a DC. He's not an HC. I mean, I'm not gonna. He's the coach this year. We're gonna ride this out. I'm just looking. I see no adjustments at halftime, and I just see the same thing. Like, I'm not trying to go doom and gloom. It's in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thought's been planted in my head.
You have a lot of thoughts in your head.
And can we take care of this Reddick thing now? The pass rush was non-existent yesterday.
I've only been saying it for weeks.
It's
but we
obvious
have
that we need them. It's obvious.
I mean, go screw them. We don't need them. Yeah, you still feel that way? Because if you play elite teams, you know what you need? You need an elite pass rusher. Who, by the way, is not awful against the run. You know, he's better than what Bryce Huff was against the run, so that helps your run defense too.
And then the last positive thing, Lazard showed a pulse. I mean, look, that is a good sign. He made more productive plays yesterday than he made last year, if you think about it. Like, I mean, Lazard showing to be an adequate NFL receiver solves a lot of problems once Mike Williams is healthy again. It really does.
I think it's a small victory that Lazard looked competent. I do think that is notable because you're gonna need some other weapons besides Garrett and Brees. And Lazard played well last night. He had the one drop, but to his credit, he didn't let it get in his head. He made all the other plays the rest of the night, including some really nice catches.
It is nice too, but when you're facing third and long or third and medium, to know that you might actually convert it, right? Like you're not like one play away from punting.
I think that's honestly why I'm not as down on this game as maybe some. Like I watched the Jets offense and I had confidence for the first time. I can't even remember the last time I felt, maybe Fitz in 2015 when I felt like they're going to score. Like I felt like they got, like the only reason why this was still a game when they were down 2 scores was we have Aaron Rodgers. Like that changes everything. That's why I'm not doing doom and gloom after one game against a great team when the quarterback looked good in his first full game in a year and a half, and the O-line protecting him, I thought, against a great front, looked good. So if you can clean up the defense, which they have a track record of doing, and you get the running game going on offense, which they have a track record of doing because they have a superstar running back who had an uncharacteristically poor game for his standards last night, like, I think they'll be okay. They should beat the Titans. They should beat the Patriots. They should beat Bo Nix and the Broncos, and they should beat Sam Darnold and the Vikings in London. And if they're 4-1, we're going to forget about this game very quickly because it's week 1 and you move on.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time, Jake.
Gary, I actually did not hate your call today. Thank you. Jerome, the Packer fan, is next. Jerome, please calm the Jet fan base down.
Yes, I'm going to do my best to try to calm folk down. You know what? Sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw, which is what happened yesterday. And you guys, 14-3 still in play. I had the Niners as one of y'all 3 losses. So that's nothing to, be too upset about or whatever. But there are a few things that the Jets have to clean up. Saleh, I don't like to talk ill of the guy, but JJ made a few good points, and I don't agree with JJ a lot. Situational ball. He has to show us, and I'm still willing to give him a chance, but he has to show us that he can make good decisions on the fly about personnel, when to have, who to have in there at what time, given the situation, knowing how to pretty much think on the fly and make adjustments on the fly. I've not seen that with him. And I didn't want to believe that about Saleh, but it's the first game. But teams are going to try y'all now because now they know they can run. You guys have to be able to have a good run defense. Rodgers looked good, but not having planned in a year and a half or whatever. So
this performance reminded me of the Dallas game last year where Lamb torched them. They made no adjustments. They vowed to fix the defense. They did.
Right.
I think they'll be okay.
It just seems like the Niners was better prepared to take on the Jets than the Jets were to take on the Niners. And I won't even say Brees had a bad game. They just planned for him, and it worked. It worked. Hassan Reddick, y'all might want to pay him. Just go ahead and get it over and pay him because Brock Purdy was not running for his life. And
no, he was not.
Reddick would have had him running for his life. One of the things as a Packer fan that we used to pride ourselves on, and why we were successful as in Packerland, is because we understood how to adjust in situations. Rodgers pretty much knew what situation he was in and what to do and how to change things and whatnot. So he's gonna work in cahoots with Saleh and the defense. He'll be in their ear about it as to what that is. And one of the things that why we were successful in Packerland, we didn't have a lot of self-inflicting wounds. We got to cut down on the penalties. But other than that, man, that was a solid game. The 49ers is just a buzzsaw. Sometimes you run into a buzzsaw. And that's all you got to chalk it up to. We're going to do, we're going to still get to this 14-3. Jets. 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 Jets.
Jerome, good call, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, like it was a poorly coached game. I was disappointed, but I'm also not gonna sit here and cancel the season. I mean, the Bills lost to Zach Wilson in week 1 last year. They won the division. There's so many examples. Juan Suarez says, we will be fine. Go Jets. Juan, I hope you're right. I agree. Coop says, Reddick would have been nice to have. I think not having him there shows what could happen when we face elite offenses with good coaches. Yeah, I've been saying it. Hassan Reddick is a luxury. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's replacing a guy who had 10 sacks last year and was among the best at pressures in the league. He's had 11 sacks or more 4 straight years. He's not a luxury. He's a need. They can still be good without him, especially if the offense is what I think is going to be good. They're going to have a good offense. I like people just don't want to believe it because it's the Jets. It's like, relax. All right, more calls right now. We say hello to V8 the Great. Hello, V8.
What's up, Jake? So, to disagree with Joe, I don't fully believe that what he said. I can't believe he believes that the defense isn't good because we are good. Like you said, this has to be an outlier game. Because surprisingly, we had 2 sacks. Apparently, Tony Adams had a sack, so it must have been a garbage time sack. But, when teams are dominating us running the football, that play action is going to kill us every time. For example, when the Packers played the Cowboys in that playoff game, it's going to kill us every time. It's just one game. We're going to be fine. Like you said, on paper, we're the better team. We're facing Will Levis. So all the Jet fans, like literally what you said, if we would have won, oh, CMC was hurt. Oh, this and that. Oh, this and that. Now as we lost, oh, the Jets, our offense had a pulse. I'm not going to say we played excellent because,
No, but they had moments where you saw like how they could be
exactly.
pretty good. You know what I mean? Like it's Rodgers'
Like,
first game.
when's the last time you saw us like drive down the field like that? Like, I literally can't. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick, I can't remember us ever driving down the field like that, and like just having calmness. Like, oh, okay, we have somebody back there who can take us to the end zone and score without having us rely on field goals. Another thing is the defense did get outmanned yesterday, but we mostly gave up mostly field goals. It was just those 2 running touchdowns. Handed one of those driving touchdowns, the ref missed a false start call, which would have backed up the Niners O-line, which would have backed up the Niners offense. So, we'll be fine. I just, like you said, Jake, it's just going to be a long 4 days. Because now we got to hear the rhetoric. We just got to hear the rhetoric. Same old Jets, what's his name? Wilds. That's on First Things First. He's just complaining about, oh, it's been this many games since Rodgers has thrown 300 yards, when he doesn't look at the fact that Mahomes didn't throw for 300 yards. I think the only person to throw for 300 yards was maybe Tua. So just relax. Aaron Rodgers is fine. He played well. He had a rinky-dink interception. We're going to be good.
I like the take. I do like the take, V8. I think you saw enough from this offense where you could picture them being a very good offense. They didn't have the ball enough. They had the ball for 21 minutes and 20 seconds, even less with Rodgers because the last drive was Tyrod. To me, once again, here was the moment of the game I go back to. Most disappointing moment of the game was you're down 16-7 at halftime. If you came out, made a halftime adjustment, and got a stop to start the third like this defense had been known to do, right? How many times have we seen the Jet defense maybe have a shaky first half? They come out, they stonewall a team in the second half. They didn't do it last night. And then the floodgates open. That 11-play drive to start the third quarter was the difference in the game. They got off the field and got the ball back to Rodgers. I think it's a different game. I think the Jets score a touchdown, and it's 16-14. And it's a whole different ballgame. So the defense had a bad night. If they continue to play poorly, my tune will change, but I still have a lot of faith in this defense. More calls right now. Darnell is next. Hey, Darnell.
What's going on, Jake?
What's up, Darnell? What do you got for us?
I'm going to start with the offense. I think that if we converted on third down, which we could have a few moments of the game, our momentum would have changed. Those drop passes, not just by Lazard first, but Brees dropped the ball right in his hands as well that could have converted a drive. Not to mention the one that Wilson caught, but his second foot hit the line. So those are momentum changing things in the game, which could have helped us. So it's a lot to look forward to. I think those drop passes hurt us, and it killed our momentum on the offense. So let's be optimistic about it. Also,
They never got going offensively, Darnell, for some of the things you brought. Like that's what I mean with the not getting into a rhythm. One, they didn't have the ball, and then there were some mistakes like the drop by Lazard, the break, like it just killed drives. Like, but you saw in the moments where it did click, they had long sustained drives, and Aaron Rodgers looked like Aaron Rodgers. Like that's encouraging for a guy who hasn't played a full NFL game in a year and a half.
Correct. And the defense, same thing. Just make some stops on third down. That's it. The tackling was horrible, and yes, they were running the ball all over us, but just stop them some of the time on the third down. Then we could have, swung the game some way prior to the offense and all. The defense wouldn't have had the ball that many minutes, as you quoted, for this entire show. So it's a lot to look forward to. It's not to be, doom and gloom and everything first game. A lot of people expected Jets to lose. So it's a lot to be optimistic about that.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate it, Darnell. I like the positive take. Let's go to Nate now. He's next. Then we got Bonesy and then Jet Afterburners to wrap us up today. Hello, Nate.
Hey, Jake, how's it going? Sorry, was my camera off earlier? I was in here for a while, and then I think
it was,
my camera was off. Sorry about that. I get to the positives real quick. I mean, obviously Rodgers was good. Lazard was great. Do you remember what I said to you in Alden shoe store?
Do I remember what you said yesterday? You said something to me
about Alan Lazard, the bet I was going to put in.
Did you have an anytime touchdown bet? I forget what it was. Or first touchdown?
No, it was over 50 yards parlayed with a couple of stuff. But Alan Lazard got his 50 yards. I was talking with a bunch of people in Alton's about if it could happen. So that was the one positive for me.
You know what bet I had last night, and I didn't realize I had it till I checked my DraftKings account this morning. I had Breece Hall first touchdown, 20 to win 160. So I'm like, all right, cha-ching.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah, I mean that was fun to see. It was exciting seeing those two touchdowns on real touchdown drives, and that's not an aberration. We did that against the Super Bowl defense. DBs are still the best in the league. Now, obviously there was tons of negatives. The run defense, the coaching. I will for the first time like we were out coached like 100%. That it's like if we play Miami, we're going to get out coached too. Like McDaniels is such a good mind. So is Shanahan. Like. That's kind of annoying to see, and that was the one thing with Rex Ryan. I always felt like we had the best coach when drawing up blitzes or game planning for that week with different blitzes or whatever we had to do. And Saleh just kind of is okay sitting in that zone. And I thought we needed to give a couple of callers mentioned it earlier. I think Big Fella mentioned it. Other people. We needed to give them a different look. Like we needed to just play man and blitz Brock Purdy. Like send six. You had the best. You got Sauce. You got Reed. You got Carter. Use the best corners in the league. Trust them playing man. And get some pressure because at times, Jake, I was rewatching the game. We had Braden McGregor, Jalen Holmes, and Michael Clemens rushing the passer at the same time. That's not a Super Bowl caliber pass rush. That can't be okay. So like even if it's not Hassan Reddick, we lost JF. We lost a lot of pieces. And someone else brought up Lakey Fotu. Like, is Lakey Fotu the answer to our problems? Like if I'm hanging my hat on Lakey Fotu, we also have issues. The thing that like with our pass rush, we need talent. Like with those, we use four guys up front. and they need to be talented. Like
You,
Robert
you,
Saleh
you
doesn't.
you need a guy who's had 11 or more sacks 4 straight years who you required to replace a pass rusher. And also, like, they gave away JFM for nothing. That's a guy who does a lot of the dirty work in the running game that helps you prevent long, sustained drives like what the Niners had last night.
That's a bigger loss than people want to admit. That's like over the Hassan Reddick. We could still have JFM here, and JFM for as many penalties and has he had made plenty of first down and second down stops in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage that no one wants to remember that set us up for second down and third and long, and all that. So we need talent on that 4-man front. Like that's what Robert Saleh does. So we need talent up there. Jermaine has to play better. Quinnen has to play. Like there has to be a pass rush, and even though like granted we played against a Super Bowl caliber roster. So everything I'm saying, I'm taking with that grain of salt. Because if we played that team with Zach Wilson last year, we wouldn't even be watching the third quarter. But all of us went crazy when Alan Lazard scored that touchdown because we knew we had Aaron Rodgers and we knew if we got a 3 and out, we would be back in that game. Like that's the difference. Like we have Aaron Rodgers, we can win these games now. We were again, it's going against a Super Bowl team. They've been in 2 Super Bowls, and we were right there after 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers that are probably non-characteristic. We're not seeing a Brees getting punched out. We're not seeing a deflected pass for an interception every week. And God forbid we have those turnovers yesterday. CJ Mosley gets a punch out and we get a deflected interception, or Adams picks that off. Everything is different. It's not all doom and gloom. Like to address like Hawk is going kind of crazy in the chat, and I was Jake. I don't really remember last year. People warned me about in-season Hawk, but this is a different level. Hawk like flipped a switch overnight.
Well,
But every game
Hawk
is
was waiting for one loss because he blames Robert Saleh for Zach Wilson being one of the worst quarterbacks in the history of football. So now is his opportunity to get his pound of flesh. Oh, I'm Hawk. Caca, look at me. Caca, I'm Hawk.
It's
Like
true.
that's what's
He was
happening.
praying.
All right.
He was doing his circles,
Oh, he's
over his prey.
circling. He's ready,
Yeah.
baby.
100%.
Robert Saleh could cure cancer, and Hawk's response would be he didn't do it fast enough. So just take all your Hawk
we
takes
know
with a
if
grain of salt.
we win the Super Bowl, it's despite Saleh, according to Hawk. Like he was just like, he brought us there. But every game, I don't know if you saw this, Jake, but 32-19 was the 1,276 unique score in NFL history.
It was a
Just
scoregami.
To that point, every game in the NFL is different. No 2 is the same. We saw Zach Wilson play good against the Chiefs. We all knew that wasn't real and that would go back to the mean. Like you alluded to this. We saw Dak Prescott throw 27 of 35 against our stud defense last year, 3 touchdowns, and rip us apart week 2. That obviously, everything went back to the means. That was a really good team, really good offense, and a really bad day for our
You
team.
want another stat, Nate?
So,
the Niners defense last year had 3 separate games where they allowed 30 or more points. Like every great team has outlier games. Like I don't think it's magnified because it's week 1 and that's all we have to go off of. And there's all this hype and excitement. We've been waiting since mid-January to watch the Jets play a game that counts again. But like I'm with you, man. It's one game. I think it will prove to be an outlier. The schedule softens up. You're not playing the defending NFC champions every week. Your toughest game's now out of the way. You have 16 more games. The Bills won the division last year, and they lost to Zach Wilson opening night. Like, people got to take a breath.
I appreciate being rational because I've seen YouTube videos last night and reactions of content creators just ripping. Oh, fire! Should Saleh be fired? Should why did I not see Sauce out there for a couple plays with no explanation? Like they actually thought Sauce was just standing there saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna just chill on the side and watch the defense." Like that he comes out, he had the wind blown at, like he had to get his wind back, but there's lots of overreaction. So I appreciate the somewhat rational takes. But let me ask you this one question before I go, Jake. If you flip the rosters in training camp, or not flip the rosters, but essentially, flip the coaching staffs, and Shanahan is preparing with Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, etc., and Robert Saleh and Nate Hackett are preparing with Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, but we didn't even have him last night. That team, how do you think that game goes if the training or if the coaching staffs are flipped going into training camp?
I probably the team that has Shanahan with the Jet talent would win. But okay, so Robert Saleh is not the best head coach in the league. You know what I mean? Like, I also think like a coach could get better and can grow into the job. That's why I think it's silly to kill Saleh off one game. It's a bad loss. It's concerning for sure, but it's 1 of 17. Let's see how they respond now. Because sometimes you need this. Like, you need that gut punch. You need to get punched in the mouth. And this long term is probably good for Ulbrich and that defensive staff to kind of rip into the defense and say, you guys hold yourself to a standard. Well, you didn't play to it. And you just can't assume that because we've been good the last couple of years, we're going to stay good. So I think there's something to be said for that. But I mean, Shanahan's a better coach than Saleh. So I think even if you're the biggest Robert Saleh fan in the world,
What concerns me.
you're taking
concerns me.
Shanahan every time. I get it, but like you can't fire the coach now.
If we play in the playoffs against Miami, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we could lose that game because of coaching. I feel like we can be out clearly more talented than them on both sides of the ball, but their offense could out scheme our defense that is just okay sitting in cover 3 and cover you just over and over and over. And again, we need talent on that front 4. And again, I think Salah can prove it. I agree with you. Like, he can get better, but the time is now. Like, there's still a chance that
No, it starts
he's
this
not
week.
the coach.
They got to win the next 3. That's how I look at it. Like,
They have to. If he's a chance he's not the coach to end the season, and there's a chance there's someone better out there to do the job. Again, I'm not calling for his job, but I'm just saying it's alarming when there's just nothing. You knew it was Aaron Rodgers' offense. So what did Salah do to change the offense, right? But did he say run the ball more? That didn't really work, and like Gary said, there weren't adjustments at halftime. There wasn't. I was outside with Clancy. V-Man joined us for the Scythe. Shout out to V-Man for coming through for that. But like, we were all talking at halftime. We were like, we're gonna get one stop coming out. Salah's gonna make defense gonna make adjustments, and then we're going to, and it just didn't happen. Like, the defense fell flat on their face the 2 times they needed to. Coming out of the half, gave up a huge touchdown when we could have had momentum, and then giving up the touchdown after our touchdown, huge momentum. And last point, Jake, did we have momentum ever last night? And in a football game, you need momentum to win. I don't care if you're playing the Titans or the 49ers. Did we ever have the slightest bit of momentum last night?
The only time they had it, Nate, the only time they had it was in the first quarter when they had that beautiful drive where they converted on 3rd down 3 separate times, which is more than they did on any drive the entire season a year ago. That was the only time they had it, when it culminated with you and the crowd going nuts when Brees crossed the line.
You're 100% right.
That was it.
100% right.
And once again, the most disappointing part of the game to me was exactly what you alluded to in your call. 3rd quarter, Niners get the ball to start, 11-play drive. They couldn't get off the field and stop them. If they got off the field and got the ball back to Rodgers, I do think the game is maybe different. Maybe they don't win, but it's certainly a lot closer than what the final score was. And I think it's a learning experience. It has to be. If it's not, then yeah, it's fair game to crush this coach, and he won't be here if they don't win next year. But they also lost 1 game to a great team. So I'm willing to, not give them a pass, but I'm willing to sit here and say, you know what? They had a brutal game week 2 against the Cowboys last year defensively. The coach vowed to fix it, and people were like, oh, who's Robert Saleh to talk? And he was right. They were one of the best defenses in the league. They were 3rd in DVOA. So I heard from Saleh this morning saying he's fixing the defense. I believe him. I think they'll bounce back against Will Levis and the Titans.
I'm with you. And again, like, if we beat the 49ers and Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers after 500-something days of not playing and all that, if we beat the 49ers in San Francisco yesterday, like, everyone is putting us in the Super Bowl. We're now top 3. Oh my God, they got Rodgers. Look at their defense. Everyone. I'm not only Jets fans. We're talking all of America is now, this team is legit. So we had a couple turnovers. It didn't go well. The defense fell flat on their face a couple times. I agree with you. That's the strength of our defense. And if Saleh says they're going to turn around, we got to trust the head coach because his job's on the line. He's got a month, or his New Jersey home will be on the market.
Yeah, Nate, great call. Thank you again for coming out last night, and I look forward to seeing a win in person on Sunday with you.
Absolutely. We'll be back for sure. It was a pleasure, Jake. Thank you. Thank you for all the time.
Nate, check it in. Good job by him. All right, we got time for 2 more here. 2 hours and 23 minutes. I'm going live at 4 with Fialco. He texted me that he has like 150 plays he wants to review. I go, okay, I'm just going to shut up and let Professor Fialco break it down. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy had the chain on last night. I said, if you're coming to T-Squared, you got to be wearing the chain. Mr. Bonesy is next. I forgot I have an intro for him. Stand by. We will not break tradition around here. Here we go.
The only thing better than Alden shoes is Joey D, cause he totally rules. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Damn, this show is crazy.
Jake, my brother. What a
Mr.
night.
Bonesy, do you regret rearranging your work schedule where you worked this weekend so you could be off today after watching the Jets play football last night? Your thoughts. Let's start there.
Well, for starters, I don't regret it because we did have a fun night getting to, not all the homies were there because you know who you are who didn't come, but we had a great crew. It was glad, hanging out with Weed and Nate and, Rob and everybody. There's too many people to name. It was so much fun hanging out with everybody. Carly's cookies were delicious, and everything up until normal how Jets work until the start of the game. We were having a great time.
Well, even then, though, right? They were up 7-3. Like, let's see if people could find Bonesy in the crowd here. I know where he is. Let's see if we could find Mr. Bonesy. Here's a hint, people. Look to your left. Chain gang to your left. Eric Wilson jersey.
I was hyped, man. I was
One more
hyped.
time. On your left, people. You see me jumping up and down, but all the way to the left, the chain's on. Bonesy hugging Rob. There it is.
What a feeling that was. It wasn't long-winded, but it didn't last too long. But it was still exciting. But let's get to the details here. My biggest things were the Lazard drop to start the game. I know he finished well, but if we got the stop that we needed, after that catch, we did get a stop, but San Francisco controlled the entire game. They ran all over us. It was embarrassing to me, honestly.
It was.
I know how Salah's defense is designed. No chunk plays. You take the little things. You try to get in the 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, so we can get that pass rush going. It didn't happen all night. We rarely got them past 3rd and 5. They dinked and dunked us. They ran the ball. They literally, Kyle Shanahan owned Robert Saleh and said, "This is why you're my bitch, because I am that much better of a coach than you. I know you too well. I got your scheme here. You weren't prepared for what I was going to do." I mean, I feel like we haven't really slowed down the run up the middle since Al Woods left last year. Once he got injured, it all started with us not being as stout against the run. And they have to fix that. If we don't fix that, we're going to be stuck watching these guys get to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, which is manageable. That's what you want. You want to get to these 3rd and shorts because then you can pass or run. And if you saw how effective the play action was against us, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, they could. I mean, they Purdy had all day. The running game set up their play action. I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than like sometimes a great team, a great defense could just have a game like this. Like that's what I hope happened. It's week 1. It's magnified because it's week 1. Like I don't think this defense is going to go from 3rd in the league to like that bad again. No. Like I think it was bad night, some tough circumstances. They didn't play in the preseason. They missed tackles. They look rusty. Like I don't know. I heard from Robert Saleh this morning. He's not worried. Like he said the same thing last year. He was right. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. We saw this against the Bengals 2 years ago too, and then they clamped down and became an elite defense. So, it's one of those things where Rodgers looked good. He stayed healthy. I think he'll get better. Like, I'm choosing to focus on that than be doom and gloom with 16 games to go,
Agreed. I am not doom and gloom. I am not saying that like, season's over. Hawk is very upset in the chat, and it is warranted that we're normally a good adjustment team. If you can say anything bad about Salah, normally when we come out in the second half, we adjust very well. That's like on the resume. Like that's normally something we do well. So even Salah said it yesterday that they tried to adjust and it didn't work, which was alarming to me because it's like, yo, you're adjusting and it's still not working, bro. Like, we need to figure out how to stop the run up the middle and just slow them down a little bit because we're giving too many chunk plays. We were coming out almost in like a wide 9 with 2 down linemen sometimes, and it was like, yo, man, just go in man coverage. And they're so worried about Debo breaking something deep. That's all this was all about. They didn't have McCaffrey, so it was really about worrying about Debo just doing what he does, which is create after the catch. And we did not want to give up a chunk play. We played very, still very vanilla to me. So that's going to change. He said it's gonna. I'm not going to harp on it because I do trust it is going to change. And the positives, the offense. We didn't get much time. I still think we should have challenged that play because Brees got that first down. Then we ended up Garrett stepping out of bounds, and then we didn't get it on 4th down.
Where's the eye in the sky ref for that one, by the way? How big? I mean, that was such bull with the Garrett. They called it out of bounds. I understand he was out of bounds, but we could just selectively choose when we want to call down and overturn a play. Like there's challenges in place for a reason.
And Brees got that first down. That was clear as day. Why didn't they eye in the sky fix that? So it felt different still knowing that you have Rodgers. And don't forget, San Francisco is a top 3 defense in the league. So things are going to get easier in terms of for Rodgers, and Rodgers still looked like he was in control. The last thing I'll say is I was a little alarmed about the run game. We could not get it going. I was really predicting. I felt like with our offensive line, I thought we were going to get a little more movement up there, and we were getting stumped. And I felt like we were doing. It wasn't that much basic stuff. We started doing some tosses and counters and shit, but nothing got going. You got to give San Francisco their due. Their defense definitely showed up better than ours, but I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna be doom and gloom because we have a favorable schedule coming up, and it's time to show up. Our defense has to stop that run, and Rodgers is gonna get more time. Imagine Lazard doesn't drop that ball, and we go down and score instead of giving it right to them and having to deal with them just milking the clock. It felt like we were going against like how people go against Mahomes and shit. Like the game plan is to keep Rodgers off the field. We were on the field for 20 minutes. Like that's unacceptable.
It was an outlier. Like I think also like sometimes people don't want to hear this. Sometimes you just credit the other team. The Niners had a good plan. They're well coached. I think it's a huge learning curve for this staff. That's championship football. Garrett Wilson, I thought, was great after the game talking about it. Like we got ways to go. Like it's week 1, man. Seen them play it all in the preseason. Like the key is to not bury yourself early so you can be healthy playing your best at the end of the year. And no one wants to hear this, but guess what? If you play the Niners again, you'll worry about it then in the Super Bowl because that might be the best team you play all year, and it's a non-conference game on the road in their building. Go beat the Titans. Go beat the Patriots. Go beat the Broncos. Go beat the Vikings. And then when you go head-to-head with the Bills, I wasn't impressed with the Bills. If the Jets played the Cardinals, they would have beat them. Like, you played the Niners. I think you just got to take a breath. That's how I'm choosing to handle this for at least one game. They lose to the Titans, I'm going to be different, but I'm not banking on that.
Agreed. Last thing I'll say, Jake, love you for setting this up, man. Still love everybody. Shout out to Neil's wife and dog, man. Neil, we were missing you yesterday, brother. We love you. And keep the faith, fellas. We got another week. I'm not giving up. I trust Salah. Let's just see what he said. Let's just see what happens with this defense. I'm not giving up yet. He got owned by his buddy who knows his system inside and out. He said it. He admitted to the beating. I'm gonna warrant that we have Aaron Rodgers. So let's fucking go. Jets, Jets.
One more time, everybody. Find the green jet chain in the crowd. That's a watch party, baby. One last call, and then we're back in just a few short hours for the film review. Jets Afterburners is next. What's up, Jets Afterburners?
What's going on, Jake? What's going on, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for holding.
I am excited about the rest of the season, man. I am not going to be just getting ready for the draft this early. No, no, guys, come on, man. It's just 1 week. Jake, you brought up some great points there with the Baltimore game so many years ago. I mean, even like you said, Brady starting off in 5-5. We have a veteran quarterback, a quarterback that commands respect throughout every section, every level of the Jets organization. I'm not worried one bit. I kind of like this. Like you said, it's a wake up call. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. The sky isn't falling. This is another reason why we have a Pro Bowl quarterback, Hall of Famer, for instances like this. We're going to win on Sunday. And not only that, I just can't wait until all these naysayers are put in their place. Jay, keep kicking ass because I know you've been on air for a while. I've been listening to the entire show. You are a professional as it gets. Let's keep knocking out of the park. Pump the brakes, guys. The Jets are here to stay, and we're going to turn a lot of heads, man. Go Jets, Jets.
Hey, I appreciate it, Jets Afterburners. Good call, man. A little positivity. The big fella with a super chat. Thank you, big fella. If you had picks from T Squared last night, post them in the Discord. The people who couldn't make it would love to see them. To get into the Discord, you got to join the Patreon. For those who are unaware, a lot of people probably new to the show. Maybe Joe Benigno brought you in. I hope you stay. All right. Subscribe to the channel. I talk Jets twice a day, every day, 365. All right. That's what we do around here. You also can hear me on ESPN Radio. I'm on ESPN New York this Sunday from after the Mets game till 7. So I'll be going from my watch party to the ESPN New York studio, doing basically a Jet Giant post-game show, and then I'll do the Jet YouTube post-game show that night, by the way. But anyway, here's what I'll say. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Get in the Discord. And if you did go to the event last night, obviously, can't thank you all enough who came out. But tag me on social media as well, at Jake Asman, at Jake Asman Show, so I could reshare it and we could put together a big collage from all the action. Great to meet so many of you last night. It was awesome. Wish I got a chance to talk to more of you. Just we were overwhelmed. And for those who are coming to week 2, there's going to be way more room this time around. There won't be any private events going on. So T-Squared will basically be our entire spot. By 8, it started to open up, but I know we were packed in at the beginning there. I'll be a little different this time around. All right. All are invited. It's a free admission watch party. Everyone besides Hawk is allowed in. That's it. So I appreciate that. I have a recap video that my video guy Tyler made for me of T-Squared. And I want to show it, but I'm currently uploading it to YouTube right now to make sure it doesn't get copyright flagged because he has like a Lazard highlight in there. And I know YouTube is very strict with that. The NFL will hammer my ass. So I was hoping that would load before the show even began, or before the show ends, but I don't know if that's possible. So here's what I'm going to do instead. I have a couple things I would like to play. First things first, I'd like to play this.
I hate this team. I hate them. I hate them.
Joe B joined us for the first 45 minutes of today's show, so rewind if you tuned in late. I also will say it again. I am the guest host of Joe's podcast on September 20th. Joe and I will be at the Hackensack Brewing Company, so come hang out with me and Joe B. Let's get a big Asmaniac turnout that night. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, if you missed the post-game show, we got 2 awesome sponsors I want to shout out again. Joe DeVizio, Joe DeVizio Realty. Sellwithjoe.com. If you're selling your home, Joe's the best. Met Joe last year at the Charger game. Great dude. Huge Jets fan. Shout out to Joe. And also, I want to thank Liam and his amazing team at Custom Bourbon Tours. CustomBourbonTours.com. If you're booking your trip to Kentucky, try all the different amazing bourbon, customize your trip, your vehicle, all that, a whole 9 yards. CustomBourbonTours.com. All right. That does it for me. I'm back in basically 3 hours with Fialco. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. Hit the like button on your way out of here. Thank you to Joe B for coming on. Thank you to all the callers, all the super chats. I also want to give a special shout out. This had to have been a typo. Kerwin, please message me off air. I'd love to send you some merch. Kervin Leisure, $400 super chat to say Salah was outclassed. So Kervin, I'd like to send you some Asmaniac merch, man. It's the least I could do for that generosity, man. I really appreciate it. Anyway, thank you all for your support. My name is Jake Asman. If you're still watching, God bless. You probably know that. I end this show by playing a prediction from the Lane Train that if you're not inspired by this, maybe nothing can inspire you. Go Jets. The sky's not falling. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. He looked good. They'll be okay.
Great game. I know Aaron Rodgers did well tonight. Look, it's only one game. Everybody's complaining that the season's over. Week 2, they're playing Tennessee. We're going to win. I guarantee that they're going to win 37-29.